Hey, there we go. All right. Hey, so, alright, we are, looks like we're live. Looks like we're getting set up, and I want to get rid of my, little stat things in the corners, but I'll have to fix that at some point. Next time, I think. Yeah, it's PC. I just put in the a texture mod. When I'm done, it is going to be FemShep. Don't worry. I am going to put a link to the mod, the two mods I'm using, in the description. One is why you see the numbers in the corners. That is just to keep track of things, and then also that is apparently supposed to fix the black blob glitch caused by AMD graphics cards, which I happen to have. So if that is, we will not get to Novaria tonight. I'm not playing for however many hours that will take, which cannot be less than 10. But once we eventually do get to Novaria, we will hopefully see if this mod actually does part of what it's supposed to do and get rid of the black blob glitch. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Feel lucky. It's annoying, that's all. I am going to be doing a New Game Plus. Because I like starting at level 59. Hey, how's it going? Unless everyone has a huge problem with that, in which case I might just go back to, start from level 1, which I have not done in forever. It has been a very long time since I've actually started Mass Effect 1 from level 1. In any case, I am my overall play style for this is so I'm shooting for I'm gonna play FemShep, obviously, full or as close to full Paragon as I can get within reason, and either Sentinel or Adept. If I start new, I'm probably gonna do Adept, but if I import if I start a new career from the New Game Plus sort of thing, it'll have to be Sentinel. So that'll be. I mean, that's fine, but. I was planning for Adept for this game because it's just better, but either way. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. That is also true. I should probably... Do I fiddle with the difficulty settings here, or... And almost fine. Okay. Yeah, all that sounds good. What did I just do? Oh, okay. But yeah, Mrs. McCoy says, that's my wife, CJ, if any of you don't know. If you were just talking about philosophy, which I'm planning on doing, that'll be more casual games, so just do New Game Plus. That's probably the best route to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and if anybody else winds up joining us, then they can catch up. I'm going to be kind of... Once we actually do get started, I'm going to be shutting up back through the backstory stuff, just so we can let that play through. This is entirely character creation things, so it's not all that important, so I can just kind of chat through here. Existing. This one. Yeah. Level 59. So I get 1 level up between now and defeating Saren. So we'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to shut up for a minute.
Well, what about Shepard? She's a spacer, lived aboard starships most of her life.
Military service runs in the family. Both her parents were in the Navy.
She saw her whole unit die on a cruise. She could have some serious emotional scars.
Every soldier has scars. Shepard's a survivor.
Is that the kind of person we want protecting the galaxy?
That's the only kind of person who can protect the galaxy.
I'll make the call.
In the year 2148, explorers on Mars discovered the remains of an ancient spacefaring civilization. In the decades that followed, these mysterious artifacts revealed startling new technologies, enabling travel to the furthest stars. The basis of this incredible technology was a force that controlled the very fabric of space and time. They called it the greatest discovery in human history. The civilizations of the galaxy call it Title Screen. Oh, wow, okay. I did not realize the new texture patches messed with the background and stuff, too. That is impressive. Like I said, I am definitely going to put a link to this mod
relays in range.
In the description.
Initiating transmission sequence.
Commander?
We are connected. Calculating transit mass and destination. The relay is hot. Acquiring approach vector. All stations secure for transit. Board is green. Approach run has begun. Hitting the relay in 3, 2, 1.
Thrusters, check. Navigation, check. Internal emissions sync engaged. All systems online. Drift, just under 1500K.
1500 is good. Your captain will be pleased.
I hate that guy.
Nihilus gave you a compliment, so you hate him.
You remember to zip up your jumpsuit on the way out of the bathroom? That's good. I just jumped us halfway across the galaxy and hit a target the size of a pinhead. So that's incredible.
To be fair, he did not jump anywhere near halfway across the galaxy. If you actually take a look, going from Earth to Eden Prime is not a far trip at all.
Yeah, that is the official story.
Yeah, it is. This is, as far as I know, the best texture mod. Yeah, no, there's something sketchy. Of course there is. It's a Spectre.
You don't send Spectres on shakedown runs.
So there's more going on here than the captain's letting on.
Joker, status report.
Just cleared the mass relay, Captain. Stealth systems engaged. Everything looks solid.
Good. Find a comm buoy and link us into the network.
Yeah, Lori Elliott says if the mods are like Skyrim, it can be a whole new game, new 2020 game. Not quite the case. It's not quite as extensive as Skyrim, but there are, from what I've seen, a lot of really specific mods that can tweak a lot of the the assets and things.
He sounds angry. Something must have gone wrong with the mission.
It is. It is a.
Possibly imagine why.
This is a shocking improvement for me. I haven't played ME1 in a good long time. I've most recently been playing 3 in Andromeda, and the look of this is really a way higher standard than I could ever remember. Although they did absolutely nothing to fix the horrifying lower back problems that the females have in ME1. It is absurd, that almost 45-degree angle. Anyway, I don't know what's up with that. I never have. I need to remember what my controls are. Is it E? Yes, it is. Look at that.
Congratulations, Commander. Looks like we had a smooth run. You heading down to see the captain?
Yeah, sorry about the drop frames. This is a, like I said, this is an upgraded mod, so there's a... I don't know how well this is gonna work consistently, so we'll give it a shot.
Sounds like you don't trust our Turian guest.
Sorry, Commander. Just having a chat with Adams down at engineering. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. But you have to admit, something's odd about this mission. The whole crew feels it.
You think the Alliance brass is holding out on us?
If all we're supposed to do is test out the stealth system, why is Captain Anderson in charge? And then there's Nihilus. Spectres are elite operatives, top covert agents. Why send a Spectre, a Turian Spectre, on a shakedown run? It doesn't add up.
Yeah, it always kind of struck me as odd that Anderson was just a captain in ME1. Being immediately promoted to counselor, if you choose that, if not being promoted to general and basically commanding a large portion of the Systems Alliance military by the time of 3 and just a couple of years later, that sounds like a huge jump from captain, especially having done absolutely nothing career-wise except punching the ambassador in the face. It's another. It feels like it's another one of those things in Mass Effect where I've always noticed that.
What do you know
let's
about
talk about our stealth
systems?
It's one of those things where the timelines and timeframes and stuff are a little bit weird.
The Normandy's the only ship with this prototype drive. But why are we fully staffed? A skeleton crew would be cheaper, less chance of security leaks too. Plus there's Nihilus. It's pretty obvious this shakedown run is just a cover.
For what?
Damned if I know, Commander. We're out here on false pretenses. I'm not a fan of being left in the dark.
Do you have a problem with the captain?
No, man. But I can't figure out what he's doing here. Captain Anderson is one of the most decorated Special Forces officers in the service. If he melted down all his medals, he could make a life-size statue of himself. You don't send a soldier like that on a do-nothing mission. He's treating this shakedown run too seriously. Something big is going on.
Like I said, it seems odd that he's only a captain. I would have thought they would make him something a little bit higher, but as I understand Systems Alliance Navy, captain is around the same as it is in the U.S. military, which is not as high as you could get as a field commander. But I don't know.
You don't trust Nihilus.
I don't like Turians in general. It runs in my family. My grandfather fought in the First Contact War. Lost a lot of friends when the Turians hit us.
That was 30 years ago. You can't blame Nihilus for that.
No.
Yeah, the 30 years also brings up another point of another nitpick I have about the storytelling in the Mass Effect universe.
We're an Alliance vessel.
It seems like
but Nihilus doesn't answer to the captain like the rest of us.
It seems like the time frames
and they don't come along just to
for this game, especially in the start, are really shortened. They're really crunched.
I don't like it.
And that's it.
I'll see if I can get some answers when I see him.
Good luck, Commander.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna flick my gain down a little bit on my mic. I know I'm getting a bunch of I'm getting a good amount of popping and whatnot. So hold on. Let me turn that down some. That might help. If it is still a problem, if I'm getting like popping and whatnot, I'll fiddle with it some more and see what I can do with the gate and whatnot. So hopefully that'll fix it. Hopefully that'll help. Turn the gain down on my microphone. So, all right. Anyway, back to it. Like I was saying, so in context, human first contact with aliens at all was 30 years ago.
That's crazy.
That was after
what do you think,
Commander Shepard was born.
We won't be staying on Eden Prime too long, will we? I'm itching for some real action.
His eyelashes.
You're kidding, Corporal.
Okay.
Your real action usually ends with me patching up crew members in the infirmary.
You need to calm down, Corporal. A good soldier stays cool even under fire.
Sorry, Commander, but this waiting's killing me. I've never been on a mission like this before, not one with a Spectre on board.
Okay, so the mod has a few little glitches, I see. Oops. That's fine. So tell
what
us
do you know
about
the Spectres?
Only what I've heard. Spectre agents work directly for the Citadel Council. They usually work alone.
Oh
or in
god,
small
it's happening to her
groups.
too. I think
Spectres
it's the
don't have any
close-in
official
shots.
power,
I
though.
hope just for the angle.
Basically, they're a shadow organization with a mandate to preserve and protect
This is
galactic
Protect it at any cost.
L'Oreal says it's the Andromeda launch all over again. It's could be worse. Her face could be tired. That was mean, but
what can you tell me
mean
about
or not,
Miles?
I mean it's a little bit different. This is first of all, this is a fan mod, so forgive
Their
us.
fleet has more patrols protecting
But also,
Citadel space
it's
than
phenomenal. It's just like a very
don't
very
always get on
weird
well with us,
glitch.
though.
Whereas
some people find them too rigid.
the Andromeda launch
Others
problems
still
were
blame them
more
for the first
that
contact.
effort wasn't put into
As for
animation,
Nihilus,
and I think
I haven't said
largely
more
that's
than
part
2
of
words to him.
that's in part
He
because of
usually
the
only speaks to the captain.
I heard Nihilus once took down an
what's called
entire
the,
enemy platoon all by himself.
the transition
Can't
to a new
believe I'm on
engine
mission with
partway
an
through,
actual Spectre.
which that's
You're from Eden Prime, aren't you, Jenkins?
huge. That was a
Like?
huge.
It's very
problem,
peaceful,
I think.
Commander. They've been real careful with development, so you don't have any city noise or pollution. My parents lived on the outskirts of the colony. At night, I used to climb this big hill and stare across the fields back at the lights from the main settlement. It was gorgeous. But when I got older, I realized it was a little too calm and quiet
Yeah,
for me.
that sounds nice.
That's why I joined the
old
Alliance.
colony
Even
sort of
Paradise
thing.
gets boring after a while.
Any idea why Eden Prime was
But yeah,
chosen as our destination?
the change
really
in
sure,
the
Commander.
the change in the
Eden
engine
Prime's
and
one of our
stuff
most stable
was I think a
colonies.
large part of the
Good
problem
place to
because
take
of
Normandy for a
the
shakedown on, I
animations.
guess.
Because it
No
wasn't
real
just
danger
facial
there.
animations.
There's
I
gotta be
noticed.
something else
It
going
was the
on.
lack of
We've got a Spectre on board.
body language.
That's why I'm so wound up. I can't wait for the real mission to start.
Yeah, Kylie, it looks like the day after going out and the false eyelashes have stuck on their cheeks. Yes, but they're also moving along with their eyes, so they are robotic fake eyelashes. Take a sip. But no, it's I think and if you watch the animations from ME1 here,
Just
one
treat
of
this
the
like every other assignment you've had, and everything will
one
work
of the best
out.
things about
Easy
this
for you to
game
say.
has
You
been
proved yourself
the
on a
animations
cruise.
and things
Everybody
in this game
knows
that
what
make
you
it so
can
much
do.
better than
This
Worlds
is my
of
big chance.
Andromeda.
I need to show the brass what I
Especially
can
at
do.
launch is the even just the insignificant little body language
You're young,
that they
Corporal.
don't
You have a long career
just
ahead
talk
of you.
with their faces.
Don't do something stupid to mess it up.
Don't worry, ma'am. I'm not going to screw this up.
Yeah, so they're moving their heads, they're shaking their heads, they're moving their bodies, their shoulders are moving when they talk, and all of that. All right, and
The captain's waiting for me.
Goodbye, Commander.
I thought that extra dot was gonna salute. There, good. But yeah, that is now. I'm nitpicking. I will also say I am super nitpicking because it's the first things that
Commander
came to mind
Shepard,
here.
I was hoping you'd get here first. It will
and
give us
in
a
large
chance
part,
to talk.
You're being sketchy.
What about?
I'm interested in this world we're going to, Eden Prime.
Oh,
I've
is it?
heard it's
Okay.
quite beautiful.
L'Oreala, I just turned it down so I wouldn't have so much so I would not have so much popping and such. I heard that was being a problem. So let me turn it back up a little bit. How is that? I mean, it's frozen because I alt tabbed, but let me try this. Trying to find a sweet balance here. Yeah, I just did that. So I just turned the game volume down, actual volume up. Hopefully this fixes it a little bit, makes it a little better. Just let me know. Let me know if it's still a problem. I can always go in and fix it. Shouldn't be an issue.
They say it's a paradise.
Yes, a paradise. Serene, tranquil, safe. Eden Prime has become something of a symbol for your people, hasn't it? Proof that humanity can not only establish colonies across the galaxy, but also protect them. But how safe is it really?
Okay. Does Paragon Shepard like Turians? I mean, kind of. This is, wait, did I turn the stream volume down? I hope I didn't. So, I hope I didn't screw that up. If it is still messing it up, please let me know. I don't want to be inaudible because I do definitely want to hear over it. Oh, it's still a problem. Okay. Here, let me fiddle with it some more. How is that? Am I coming through okay? Yeah, I know there's a lag, but Oh, gotcha. Okay. Mrs. McCoy, thank you for that. That'll work. I did turn my gain pretty much all the way up. I will... Alright, you know what? I'm going to put it there, right in between where it was and where you guys wanted it to be. And hopefully that'll fix the problem. And if not, I will check back later. And if it continues to be a problem, I'll figure it out later. Anyway, yeah. So I think she likes Turians, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe everyone kind of hates Quarians, though. Thomas, that is it's kind of the space
Your
racism
people are
du
still
jour.
newcomers, Shepard. The galaxy can be a very
Everyone also
dangerous
hates
place.
humans, though,
Is the
for
Alliance truly ready for this?
fairly legitimate reasons that
I think it's about time we told the
Nyla
commander
starts
what's
talking
really
about.
going on.
This mission is far more than a simple shakedown run.
Okay, yeah.
I already figured that out.
We're making a covert pickup on Eden Prime. That's why we needed the stealth systems operational.
There must be a reason you didn't tell me about this, sir?
This comes down from the top, Commander. Information strictly on a need-to-know basis. A research team on Eden Prime unearthed some kind of beacon during an excavation. It was Prothean.
I thought the Protheans vanished 50,000 years ago.
Dump.
Their legacy still remains. The mass relays, the Citadel, our ship drives. It's all based on Prothean technology.
This is big, Shepard. The last time humanity made a discovery like this, it jumped our technology forward 200 years. But Eden Prime doesn't have the facilities to handle something like this. We need to bring the beacon back to the Citadel for proper study.
Obviously, this goes beyond mere human interests, Commander. This discovery could affect every species in Council space.
I wonder if there was another similar discovery by someone else, which could have also affected every
Why didn't we keep the
species in
beacon for
Council
ourselves?
space.
You humans don't have the
Interesting.
best reputation. Some species see you as selfish, too unpredictable, too independent, even dangerous.
Sharing that beacon will improve relations with the Council. Plus, we need their scientific expertise. They know more about the Protheans than we do.
The beacon
gosh.
is not the only
In
reason
the context
we're here,
of the
Shepard.
later games,
Nihilus
particularly
wants to
Mass
see
Effect
you in
3,
action.
this is
He's
incredibly
here to
ironic.
evaluate.
Humans are too independent and not willing to share technology and whatnot. Well, you know, you're not the only ones. They're the only ones that everyone knows about, because we humans are very bad at keeping secrets. But,
Guess that explains
You know.
why I bump into him every time I turn around.
The Alliance has been pushing for this for a long time. Humanity
And,
wants a larger
I mean,
role in
let's be
shaping
realistic.
interstellar policy.
it's been
We want
30
more say with the
years
Citadel Council.
since
The
humans
Spectres
made first
represent the
contact with
Council's power
any
and
alien
authority.
species ever.
If they accept a
And our
human
first
as their
contact
race,
was
it
doing
shows how
something which
far
was
the
against
Alliance has
galactic
come.
law, opening a new relay,
Not many could have survived.
and
what
then
you went through on
immediately
Cruise.
opening fire
You showed a remarkable will to live.
on the Turians, who
particularly
confronted us
useful
about it.
talent. That's
And
why I
then,
put your name forward as a candidate for the Spectres.
Ooh, neat.
Why would a Turian want a human in the Spectres?
Not all Turians resent humanity. Some of us see the potential of your species. We see what you have to offer to the rest of the galaxy, and to the Spectres.
Yeah, it must be a lot,
We are an
because
elite
we,
group.
humans,
It's rare
basically
to
in the
find an
course of
individual with the skills we
30-something
seek.
years,
I
go
don't
from
care that you're human, Shepard.
backwoods
I only care
nobodies
that you can do the
who
job.
immediately opened fire wildly irresponsibly on the first people that they saw who confronted them. To be fair, the Turians shot first, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't matter as much. Yeah, and then immediately within a generation, or in Asari terms, within something like a year, become the leaders of the galaxy. WizKid Gamer, to be fair, this is exactly in character with what you would expect from humans in a typical sci-fi setting, and just in general, absolutely. Mass Effect does a great job of portraying how that would really turn out, and how other races would actually see that. In contrast to something like, I think we get the opposite end of this in like Star Trek Enterprise, where humans immediately get contact when they get into contact with the Vulcans. The Vulcans are basically treating humans as children, and the humans are kind of going along with it for diplomatic reasons.
I assume this is good for the Alliance.
Earth needs this, Shepard. We're counting on
Yeah, the timescales of like I
need
keep
to
saying,
see
the
your
timescales
skills
in
for
Mass
myself,
Effect are one of the very
Eden Prime
few
will be the
things
first of
about the
several
world building
missions
here
together.
that bother me a little
You'll
bit.
be in charge of the ground.
Like thinking about it,
Secure the
like
beacon and
Shepard
get
was
it onto
born
the ship
before
ASAP.
First Contact.
Nihilus will accompany you to observe the mission.
The would have been protagonist of Andromeda, Alec Ryder, was one of literally the first group of humans to ever go through a mass relay. That is how compressed the timescales are. And we hear that Shepard's parents were both in the Alliance Navy. Who were they fighting? I mean, I presumably they were in the First Contact War, but they were at that point not young. It was only 30 years ago. That was around when Shepard was born. It's one of those things where it seems like it should have been a generation or two where humans were kind of finding their feet. But I guess it does really show the ambition.
What do you
of
know
humans.
about the Protheans?
Just what they taught us in school.
Realistically, we would be impulsive and make everyone angry with us almost immediately. Yeah, like Mirror Universe Star Trek.
Nobody really knows how or why.
Or like
though
this.
I've heard plenty of theories.
Although, admittedly, we don't.
But everyone agrees. Galactic
The shoot on sight
civilization
thing is not
wouldn't
as
exist
extreme
without
as
them.
it is in Mirror
Their
Universe
Citadel
Star Trek,
is
if
the
you're
very
familiar
heart
with
of
it.
galactic society, and without their mass relays, interstellar travel would be impossible. We all owe the Protheans a great debt.
Why is this beacon so important?
All advanced galactic civilization is based on Prothean technology, even yours.
If we hadn't discovered those Prothean ruins buried on Mars, we'd still be stuck on Earth. That was just a small data cache. Who knows what we can learn from this beacon? What if it's a weapons archive? We can't let it fall into the wrong hands.
That's also super ironic, given that the archives on Mars turn out to have a massive, weapons archive in it. But we don't know that yet, so
Like who?
we'll find out eventually.
The Attican Traverse isn't the most stable sector of Citadel space. There are plenty of raiders and criminal groups active in the region. They might figure a Prothean beacon is worth the risk of attacking an Alliance ship. Plus, Eden Prime is right on the border of the Terminus systems.
Yeah, I mean, humans are really the humans of Mass Effect. The problem is the Turians are also the humans of Mass Effect. So that's why humans and Turians are constantly clashing. We're just sort of the two sides of humanity. Batarians are... L'Oreal, Batarians are kobolds. Pretty straightforwardly. Cool shark fact from Max Cancer. Turian voices are created by flanging, and I love them. Yeah, I think the effect that on Turian voices is a lot more significant in ME1 than it was in later games. I think they turned it down somewhat later.
Yes, but some of the species in the Terminus might be willing to start a war over this.
The last thing the Council wants is
I think my favorite voice effect they do is Hanar, though.
We have to keep this low-key.
I'd like to know more about Eden Prime before we touch down.
At least in the Mass Effect series.
Farm,
Hanar voices with
but it represents something much bigger.
What is it?
Prime is one
Echo,
of our oldest and most successful.
What is it? Reverse Echo Reverse or something like that?
We were ready to face the challenges of settling new worlds, to forge a place for humanity beyond Earth. It symbolizes humanity's growth and evolution as a spacefaring species. And after this, it will be known as the world where humans made a discovery of galactic importance.
Also, just turn up Keith David. He is a treasure in the sci-fi voice acting world.
Just give the word, Captain.
We should be getting close to Eden.
Captain, we got a problem.
What's wrong, Joker?
Transmission from Eden Prime, sir. You better see this.
Bring it up on screen.
Get down! We are under attack, taking heavy casualties. I repeat, heavy casualties. We can't get evac. They came out of nowhere. We need...
Everything cuts out after that. No comm traffic at all. Just goes dead.
There's no
nothing.
Reverse and hold at 38.5. Status report.
17 minutes out, Captain. No other Alliance ships in the area.
Take us in, Joker, fast and quiet. This mission just got a lot more complicated.
A small strike team can move quickly, without drawing attention. It's our best chance to secure the beacon.
Grab your gear and meet us in the cargo hold. Tell Alenko and Jenkins to suit up, Commander. You're going in.
Alright, so I've been nitpicking enough about Mass Effect in general, about the world building and whatnot, and which is...
Aging stealth systems.
Oh, so, L'Orelia. So, how much
Somebody was
Cthulhu
doing
is in
some
Mass
serious
Effect?
digging here,
Reapers
Captain.
seem pretty straightforward, but how much else
Your
is there?
team's the muscle in this
wait and
operation,
see
Commander.
until
Go in
3.
heavy and head straight for the dig site.
What about
The
survivors,
Reapers
Captain?
are
Helping
small fry
survivors is a
compared to
secondary
the
objective.
the
The
really,
beacon's your
really
top priority.
Cthulhu.
Approaching drop point 1.
But really, it's only the only
you're coming
the
with
one
us?
other Cthulhic
I
Eldritch
move
Horror
faster on
thing.
my own.
Yeah, the DLC
Niles will
is called
scout out ahead.
Leviathan.
He'll feed you status
And it
reports
is
throughout the
very
mission.
Call of Cthulhu.
Otherwise, I want radio silence.
We've got his back, Captain.
The mission's yours now, Shepard. Good luck.
We are approaching drop point 2.
Yeah, Max Cancer. I like the. I absolutely love the alien facial expressions that they do, which they really ramp up throughout the series, and that's actually one of the things that Andromeda does really, really well. Is alien facial experiences or facial reactions. They really make it work. Nope, that's walk. That's crouch. That's put gun away. Yeah, the Mutants and Masterminds game we played, Thomas and Mrs. McCoy were both in that. Essentially, so if you saw or played the Call of Cthulhu game that came out not too long ago, where am I supposed to go? Damn, I forgot. I just basically assumed that happened around when it happened, except it was Mass Effect Cthulhu's instead of regular Cthulhu's. I'm supposed to go over here, aren't I? Okay.
God, what happened here?
A dead body. Yeah, it is. But there's a lot. There's a lot I really, really appreciate about the about Mass Effect lore, about the world building. And we're about to have L. Jenkins go. Leroy Jenkins. And down he goes. Crap. What's my cover? Oh, no, not that. What's my cover? What's my cover button? Nope. It's definitely not that. Isn't it? No. Oh, there it is. Okay, you just press up against it. Got it. Okay. It's, like I said, it has been a good long while since I played Mass Effect 1, so give me a break. So forget what powers I have.
Area secured.
And poor Jenkins.
Ripped right through his shields.
Yeah, apparently the it also doesn't just do eyelashes, it also does helmets in that really weird way. Yeah.
We'll see that he receives a proper service once the mission is complete. But I need you to stay focused.
Aye, aye, ma'am.
I killed the gas bags because they are non-sapient, probably non-sentient plant-like coral organisms. And they make good target practice, and they also get in the way of my other shots. So I'm just going to go with that. And whoop, that's bad. That doesn't actually work. Okay, Oops. Alright, so, like I said, it's been a little while. Let's try that again. Ooh, maybe this time I can save Jenkins. Maybe if I hadn't shot the gas bags, we would have survived.
What the hell are those?
Bags.
Gas bags. Don't worry, they're harmless.
Oh. Oh, so I guess if they're harmless, I can just leave them alone. Ew. Alright, I'll leave them alone. Anyway. So like I was saying, because I've been nitpicking a lot about things that are kind of wrong with the world building in Mass Effect, or problems, minor problems that I have with it. And like I said, they are really, really nitpicks, because I really do love so much of the world building in Mass Effect. Most of it is phenomenally done, and there's a lot of effort put in. One of the things I like most about it, and I was kind of talking about this last week when I was playing Red Dead, is the saturation of the world. That anywhere you go, even just on the wide open galaxy map, there is stuff there. Even if it's not the most in-depth stuff, there's still stuff there. And F's in the chat. That was a grenade. I need... there we go. There.
Negative contacts, Commander.
Ripped right through his shields. You're at a chance.
We'll see that he receives a proper service once the mission is complete. But I need you to stay focused.
Aye, aye, ma'am.
So Max reminds us that there is a Mass Effect reference in Dragon Age Origins in the Deep Roads, where some rando dwarf goes crazy and starts ranting about Shepard, or writes about Shepard. Yeah, I remember that. There's actually a lot of sort of cross-referencey stuff between the two series. I mean, obviously, both being BioWare, they're probably going to have quite a few Easter eggs in their crossover stuff. That's one of them. There were actually quite a few in Andromeda. A lot of the letters, a lot of the emails you get at the end, like thanking you for beating the game, basically, are essentially references, really barely veiled references to characters in Dragon Age. There's one, somebody suggesting we blow the roof off of this place. From... oh no. Okay, well, I guess I get some Omnigel. I need to really do something about that. I need my pistol. No, don't. Caden. I forgot to equip everybody. Yeah, I have assigned at least most of my level up points, but not my... oh, I need that one. Oh, no I don't. I still have my decent logic arrest tool, which I definitely want. I should get Caden, the Nexus 9, instead of this crap. So, have I assigned my level up points? I don't think so. I'm probably going to do that and not die. That's the plan. Alright, Savant is just the best, hands down, so... Caden. Yeah, the inventory situation in ME1, as Max says, it is... lackluster. It should be much, much better. Yeah, that'll do. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. There. Who likes helmets? unless you're in space. All right, that'll work. Let's see about point. Oh my god, that's why. Okay. All right, you get lift, you get barrier, you get stasis. Okay. Now what? Advanced sabotage. Advanced lift. Advanced throw. The worst that could happen is... Actually, at this point, very, very little. You make a very good point. Just because... I mean, I'm on normal. This will not be hard, so I'll just... Oh wait, skip remain. Okay, good enough. You're right, good enough. Let's just go with that. The only downside is I only get one more level up to fix any problems. But, alright, we'll see. Alright, cool. Yeah, that's actually another good point. I should... Yeah, as McCoy says that I never bother with first aid on the squad mates. That's probably good. Good point. Oh, speaking of his first aid, Caden's almost dead. I forget where to go. Over there. Oh, jeez. So, other things that I really do like about the world building in Mass Effect. There is obviously the sort of richness. I also really like the just generally the aesthetic of the game, both the game and the world. The film grain and all of that contributes to this in part, because it did that before it was the standard convention in gaming. Oh, you're kidding me. Oops. Oops. Oh no. I need to start saving. Yeah. I need to start saving. Because I keep forgetting that I forgot how to play.
What the hell are those?
Anyway.
Gas bags. Don't worry, they're harmless.
Anyway. Aside from being bad at the game, which is apparently the case. Let me just do all of that again while I talk. I'll actually talk over it this time, because I can afford to, because I basically know what I'm doing now. Here. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, the like I was talking about the film grain. And the kind of importance of the film grain, that it is it's an aesthetic choice, but it also is a kind of a callback. It fits with the tone of the game very, very well. Hey, maybe Jenkins won't die. Max out lift because it's the best power. The film grain is one of the things I like because it kind of harkens back to like classic 1980s sci-fi. And I do want neural shock, so I am going to go up here just a little bit. And I mean the way I've always kind of thought of Mass Effect in terms of its sort of aesthetic has always been like Epcot sci-fi. It is the very it's optimistic in a sense, right? In the sense that it puts forward a vision for humanity of what we can achieve, that sort of thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll do it. Puts forward sort of a vision for what we can achieve. And that's... Let's save. Yay. That'll fix the problem. Oh no. Don't do this to me. Okay. My cursor was showing up for me. Sorry about that. In any case, yeah, it puts forward this sort of vision of what we can achieve.
Oh God.
It doesn't put forward a purely optimistic future. But what it does is it puts forward the sort of vision of the future where we will encounter impossible challenges. But then we'll overcome them. We will adapt, we will overcome them because it's what we do as humans. Right? It's the human thing to do is to adapt to possibilities that are impossible to deal with. Oops, that was a grenade. Okay, fine. And we will encounter the impossible, something which cannot be overcome, and then still overcome it. It's that kind of optimism about the future.
We'll see that he receives
not the kind of optimism, not the kind of naive optimism about the future where everything will be sunshine and rainbows, the kind of thing that I am very prone to criticizing Star Trek The Next Generation for. Yes, we are in this perfect post-scarcity society and nothing ever goes wrong ever under any circumstances and everything is wonderful and everyone loves each other. Right. The whole Roddenberry aesthetic of no member of any part of the crew is allowed to be in conflict with the other. Oh, right, they're all drones. I can't lift them. But it's a realistic sort of optimism that acknowledges challenges, but then it's about pushing beyond them. It's the kind of optimism you can see at Epcot. Like I said, kind of the Epcot sci-fi, the very 1980s forward-looking, without the sort of cynicism that develops in sort of the late 80s with sort of Blade Runner and moving forward into the sort of dystopian sci-fi. WizKid, you say, the overwhelming drive of mankind to overcome all adversity, which is naturally compelling to most people. Absolutely. I just can't get enough of that stuff. I love that theme throughout all of these games. And it is it's very prominent in all three of them. Oops. I hit the wrong button. Oh, damn it. There's a rocket drone. This is the one that killed me last time. Bastard. There we go. Okay, great. No more rocket drone to deal with, so we're good. Anyway, I'm gonna save again. Ah, man, I wanted a pulse rifle. Actually, I think I have one. I do. Whatever. I don't actually need it because I'm not proficient with them. In any case, yeah, WizKid follow up. Another say you say also it's a very Christian one as well as Jordan Peterson points out pretty well. You mean the sort of striving towards overcoming difficulty and adversity, that sort of thing. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to. But yeah, it is. It's very. It's forward thinking without silly optimism, without being unthinking, and it's also forward thinking in the sense of I guess you can say pushing things forward while still staying on the same sort of path we were on, right? So it's not like human beings here are this sort of new. It's not the new man sort of thing that we're looking at. It is. It's humans. We're very, very human. That is, again, like I kind of mentioned, something that I think that a lot of Star Trek misses out on as kind of the prototypical sci-fi. Humans, after a while, especially in the Next Generation era, stop acting like humans and start acting like Vulcans. You know, that's actually, now that I think about it, this is another point which I
Gunnery Chief Ashley Williams of the 212. You the one in charge here, ma'am?
That was interesting. I didn't mean for everyone to die there. Okay, cool. We won. Hooray.
Are you wounded, Williams?
That was super weird.
A few scrapes and burns, nothing serious. The others weren't so lucky. Oh man. We were patrolling the perimeter when the attack hit.
I wonder if I can fix the eyelashes.
We tried to get off a distress call, but
maybe
they cut off our
the
communications.
next
I've been
playthrough,
fighting
or
for my
next
life ever
time I
since.
stream at least.
Where's the rest of your squad?
We tried to double back to the beacon, but we walked into an ambush. I don't think any of the others... I think I'm the only one left.
This isn't your fault, Williams. You couldn't have done anything to save them.
Yes, ma'am. We held our position as long as we could, until the Geth overwhelmed us.
The Geth haven't been seen outside the Veil in nearly 200 years. Why are they here now?
They must have come for the beacon.
Another one of those incongruities a little bit,
is close, just over that rise. It might still be there.
I mean, humans have only been on the galactic scene for 30 years, and he's talking about that like it's common knowledge. I mean, I guess maybe he remembered history class, but
we could use your help,
that
Williams.
seems kind of
aye,
out
ma'am.
there.
It's time for payback.
WizKid, I assume you're talking about Star Trek here. So it says, you say, right. Let's talk about the Geth a little bit.
What else do you know about the Geth?
It's just disappointing to see them evolve into a communist utopia that's post-scarcity because it ignores human drama that always pops up just because people are people. Yeah, that's why I love Deep Space Nine. Because humans are back to being human, and other species are always picking on them for their weird utopianist philosophies.
Nobody's really heard much from them since.
It's just really nice when Jake and Nog, if you remember Deep Space Nine, when Jake and Nog have their
Tell me everything you know about
their
the
series of side
they
quests because Jake refuses to use money. It's just hilarious.
Weeks ago, they unearthed some Prothean ruins and the beacon. Suddenly, every scientific expert in the colony was interested. That's when they brought us in to secure the site. I don't know much about the beacon itself.
Yeah, Maxian, that's actually not a bad idea.
Biggest scientific discovery
especially if I accidentally die.
What happened to the researchers?
And have to replay cutscenes, so it's not a bad idea. I'll give it a try next time. If I wind up dying and having to run back through stuff, I will try skipping through some cutscenes. By default, I do want to go through and get some of the background, the information and stuff. If you would prefer me to shut up through exposition, an overwhelming response in the chat can certainly convince me to do so.
The attack. We were sent out a couple of nights ago from the main colony to secure the area.
But yeah, I didn't intend for this to be a shitting on Star Trek stream, but I'm always happy to shit on
at the dig site?
I don't know.
At least the Roddenberry.
The 232 was with them.
The Roddenberry
Maybe
philosophy
their unit fared better than mine.
Star Trek around the Next Generation era.
Have you seen a
the whole there are to be no conflicts between members of the crew thing?
None that I've ever met.
Because humans are perfected or whatever, which is obviously
If you
absurd.
saw this guy, you'd know. Carries enough firepower to wipe out a whole platoon. Luckily, he's on our side.
Sorry, like I said, no Turians.
Ominous.
Move out.
That was sudden. Okay. Yeah, I know. Just darn. All right, let's equip Ashley while I continue talking. Yeah, you don't need your helmet, but all right, there. You get every good gun there is because you're a soldier. There. Okay, that was easy. Okay, you're mostly going to be assault rifles and sniper rifles. In any case, so there we go. Ashley looks like she got stung by a bee on the lip. A little bit, but I think that's largely the fault of the original animations, the original facial structure stuff, which is not the best. So you know the facial shape stuff is a little bit off a lot of the time. So you know, what are you gonna do? There's only so much you can do in retexturing, as far as I understand it. I don't fully understand it, but let's pretend I do. Because there's only so much you can do to make to change face sculpting, I guess you could say. I don't know, something like that. I'm still shocked that those Geth just sort of all died. Not that. Okay, they didn't come down. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, so another thing I was... Oh, hello. Another thing I wanted to bring up is this whole humanist thing, if you want to call it, which, if you want to say humanism in terms of racist against aliens,
this is the dig site.
Like Ashley gets this
right
reputation
here. It must
for
have been
being
moved.
By who? Our side or the Geth?
Hard to say.
one of the
more
videos
after we check
I'm
out the
hoping
research
on
camp.
hoping on doing soon, or soonish at least, is a video about this kind of
in the camp. It's just on the top of this ridge. Up the
humanism taken out of its present day context and put into a context where humans are not the only sapient species. Humanism, like we see like today, is... I should just not even bother opening these anymore, should I? So humanism, as we see it today, is in large part... It's predicated on us being the only sapient race,
like
the only sapient people.
It's a good place for an ambush. Keep your guard up.
Hey, who'd have thought? Ambush time.
Oh God, they're still alive.
If at some point we were to discover that we're not alone, that sort of thing, we meaning biological humans. If we biological humans are not the only... like, we're not the only sapient species. Part of... Oh my gosh. I'm just awful, aren't I? There we go. Wait, what?
All clear, Commander.
Where's my weapon wheel? Not F. Not V. Oh, it's space. Hey, there we go. Pistol, assault rifle, great. Okay. Part of the reason why that seems in our context to be sort of enlightened morality to the point where we treat all human beings equally, and yet if we put it into a context like this, it immediately becomes obvious that yeah, we're treating all human beings equally, but we should not just be treating human beings equally. There should be more to it than that. It should go beyond just human beings if we are to actually be egalitarians or whatnot. Why did I bother? Oh yeah, and I have to give Ashley heavy armor. No, I don't. Do I? Oh yeah, I do. Okay, never mind. There we go. Heavy armor. All right. But the point here, though, is actually, you know what? I'm gonna pick this back up because this is an interesting dialogue bit. So Huss and how they created Max says is creepy stuff. I find the whole collector's creation thing in ME2 is so sad and gross. It has a lot. There's a lot of that has a lot to bring up in terms of where the story goes from there and where the themes pick up and what happens.
Hurry, close
The implications it has for the ending of 3. All right, I want to listen to Dr. Manuel because he's a little crazy. So, WizKid, every time you say it's like every time we reach a moral threshold, we find something else to hate illogically. There's something to that. Now, I'll come back to that because I think there's a lot true about that.
Don't worry. We'll protect you.
So let's talk to
Thank you. I think we'll be okay now.
Crazy person
it looks
having
like
a,
everyone's gone.
having a
You're
psychiatric
Dr.
break,
Warren,
it seems
the
like.
one in charge of the excavation. Do you know what happened to the beacon?
It was moved to the spaceport this morning. Manuel and I stayed behind to help pack up the camp. When the attack came, the Marines held them off long enough for us to hide. They gave their lives to save us.
No one is saved. The age of humanity is ended. Soon, only ruin and corpses will remain.
What's wrong with your assistant?
Manuel has a brilliant mind, but he's always been a bit unstable. Genius and madness are two sides of the same coin.
Is it madness to see the future? To see the destruction rushing towards us? To understand there is no escape? No hope? No. I am not mad. I'm the only sane one left.
I gave him an extra dose of his meds after the attack.
I'm not gonna punch him. That's bad.
Can you tell me anything about the beacon?
It's some type of data module from a galaxy-wide communications network.
So the rest is exposition, so you can read along if you'd like. But I'll get back to the point we were just talking about. So like WizKid, you were talking about.
Medical advances. Who knows what secrets are locked inside?
If we read a human history straightforwardly, what we find is
the darkness.
Manuel, please. This isn't the time.
Yes.
Did you notice a Turian in the area?
I saw him.
What we see is just sort of a gradually expanding, sphere of
Nihilus was with
us.
in the Normandy before the attack. He could have been here.
I'm sorry, Manuel's still a bit.
This is quite. You say you ever saw the walk away option at the end of ME3? Yeah.
What else can you tell me
It's an
about
option.
the attack?
They added it.
It all happened so fast.
It's an interesting
1 second
one.
we were gathering
It's interesting to talk about, but we will.
The next we were hiding in the shed.
I'm sure we're going to talk about the ending.
Agents of the destroyers,
a few times.
Bringers of darkness, heralds of our extinction.
I mentioned this before, and I put it as a link in my first Red Dead stream 2 weeks ago.
Then everything went quiet.
There is a channel called Space Dock, a YouTube channel called Space Dock. I very highly recommend their
take us to the spaceport.
Their video on the ending of ME3 and how the destroy ending is the only option.
Hush, Manuel, go lie down. You'll feel better.
I kind of disagree that walk away is an option. It is a viable option that is not. It's not as strictly incompatible with the themes of the series as the other two endings. Well, we see here like what happens. Let's watch. This is good cutscene. So let's. I'll come back to the endings. Talking about that.
Saren, Nihilus.
This isn't your mission, Saren. What are you doing here?
The Council thought you could use some help on this one.
I wasn't expecting to find the Geth here. The situation's bad.
Don't worry. I've got it under control.
Yeah, I love, first of all, that Saren's theme is what plays when you die.
Ship. Look at the size of it.
And I also love that Saren's eyes are the same as the Elusive Man's. I barely noticed that, but it is it's a really significant bit of foreshadowing about the Elusive Man becoming enthralled and all that stuff we see eventually in 2 and in 3. Is that it? No, there's more.
Something's moving.
Okay.
Over behind those crates.
Wait! Don't shoot! I'm one of you! I'm human!
So Thomas, did the Elusive Man get a tease in ME1? No, not to my knowledge. As far as I know, the Elusive Man first shows up in some of the
Sneaking
comics.
up on us like that nearly got you
Because
killed.
apparently he did fight in the First Contact
I'm
War,
sorry,
which is
I
why
was
he
hiding
hates aliens.
from those creatures. My name's Powell. I saw what happened to that Turian. The other one shot him.
I need to know how Nihilus died.
The other one got here first. He was waiting when your friend showed up.
There are certainly
He
thematic,
called him Saren.
I guess,
I think they knew
throwbacks, maybe call
Your
them.
friend seemed to relax.
There's some thematic
He let his
echoes
guard down.
of what we will see in the Elusive Man
Saren
earlier
killed
on.
him.
The
Shot him
smugglers
right
in the other
back.
bunker. Are you sure that's
Just
not over
lucky he
here?
didn't see me behind the crates.
I'll go back and look if I can. I don't want to miss anybody, especially. Oh yeah, no, that's right. I think they are back. They are back a ways.
We were told a
thank
Prothean
you for the
beacon was
reminder.
brought to the spaceport. What happened to it?
It's over on the
Damn,
other platform.
that's right.
Probably where that guy
Forgot to
Saren was headed.
rat this guy out.
He
I'm
hopped
gonna
on
have
the
to go
cargo
back and
train right
talk
after
to
he
them.
killed your friend. I knew that beacon was trouble. Everything's gone to hell since we found it. First that damn mothership showed up, then the attack. They killed everyone. Everyone. If I hadn't been behind the crates, I'd be dead too.
How come you're the only one who survived? Why didn't anyone else try to hide behind the crates?
They never had a chance.
I think I'm worth noting
I
as
was
well. I
already
think that
behind
the
the crates when the
mod I
attack
have,
started.
the texture mod here, has
Wait a minute.
specific
You were hiding behind the crates before
eyelashes
the attack?
that I can probably
Sometimes
turn off.
I need a nap to get
I'm
through
gonna
my
try
shift.
doing that for
I
next time.
sneak off
Not now,
behind the
obviously.
crates to
I'll have to
grab 40
reinstall
winks
things,
where the
but I'll try
supervisor
that
can't
for next
find
time so I can get rid of the darn
You survived because you're
thing.
lazy?
If you hadn't snuck off for that nap, you'd probably be dead just like all the others.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't really want to think about it.
Tell me
Just tell
about
me
the
about the
Geth attack.
It was quick. 1 minute the ship was descending, the next, those Geth were swarming over the platform. Thousands of them. They must have been inside that mothership. They shot anything that moved. It was a massacre.
Tell me about this mothership you saw.
I've never seen anything like it before. It was huge. Landed over near that platform. The whole place got dark as it came down. And it was making this noise, this sound that bored right into your brain. That's what woke me up.
I'm not
The
sure if he's
attack came a few
talking
minutes
about
later.
indoctrination or if he's talking about the Wom noise. The
Is
the
there
eponymous
anything
Reaper
else you can tell
Wom.
me about the beacon?
They brought it here this morning. We loaded it up onto the train and shipped it to the other platform. Hard to believe that was only a few hours ago. Feels like a whole other life.
Okay, that's it.
We need to find that beacon before it's too late.
Take the cargo train. That's where the other Turian went. I can't stay here. I need to get away from all this.
I'm really kicking myself for not being able to call him out on his crap. What are we shooting? Oh, that's what we're shooting. I see. Anyway, to go back to what I was saying earlier. Upgrade kit, don't need that. Let's move back. Is this metagel? I need that. Oh, there they are. Yeah, I see. What I was saying earlier, though, about the sort of humanism becoming a kind of anti-alien racism, I guess you can call it, is that our sort of circle of us expands whenever there is a new them.
Everybody stay calm out there. We're coming out. We're not armed.
Is it safe? Are they gone?
They're really not, but let's say it's safe.
You're okay now. Nobody's gonna hurt you.
Those things were crawling all around the shed. They would have found us.
In any
for
case,
sure.
yeah, it's
We were lives.
our kind of our circle of who we identify as and who we identify with gradually has expanded, throughout human history. We've gone from our tribe, from our family to our tribe to our nation, or I guess to our city, to our nation or our people or
Tell
whatever.
me everything you remember about the attack.
And then presumably gradually to our species. The problem there is, though, that yeah, we have some commonalities with any given layer of this.
Right where that ship came down. No way they survived.
But the potential difficulty is figuring out what the morally significant factors are in that commonality.
We heard they found something out there, but it never really mattered to us. Not until now.
The question then becomes, what are the morally significant factors? Well,
busy running to get a clear look at
currently we're sort of stuck
Tell them about the noise code.
in real society, at least, at biological species.
Some kind of signal as it descended.
Human beings are important because we are human beings. Right, we are, in that sense, related, I guess. So it's just an extension of familial relations.
Tearing right through my skull.
The trouble is, if we do wind up, if and or when we do wind up encountering other sapient species.
Maybe we should give them the stuff.
Jeez, Blake, you gotta learn when to shut up.
Oh no.
You have something to tell me, Cole?
I don't actually want
Some
the
guys
stuff,
at the spaceport were running a small smuggling ring. Nothing major. In exchange for a cut of the profits, we let them store packages in our sheds.
What kind of packages?
I found a pistol. Figured it would come in handy if those things came back. But you'll probably get more use out of it than we will.
We're risking our lives to save this colony. You sure there's
Gotta
nothing
train
else in
my
here
Paragon
that can help
points.
us out?
Yeah, there's one more thing. I was gonna sell it after this was over, but you probably deserve it more than I do.
I'm probably gonna turn it into Omnigel. I apologize.
Who's your contact at the spaceport, Cole? What's his name?
He's not a bad guy. I don't want to get him in trouble. Besides, I'm not a snitch.
He might have something to do with this whole attack.
And I'm not
Cole.
gonna be able to talk to him.
We
Darn.
need his name. It's important.
I hate that I went out of order on this.
Okay, you're right. His name's Powell. Works the docks at the spaceport, if he's still alive.
I mean, if it hadn't been him,
I have to go.
it would have been.
Good luck.
He would have been dead. So, you know, whatever. I do not need a stinger to. Anyway, back to it. Oh, jeez. Throw. Right. So gradually we wind up doing is we wind up sort of expanding our inner circle, our circle within which we sort of can relate, that we consider morally significant persons. Of course, as I said, at this point in our current point in history, right now, real life now, not. Oh God. Okay. Well, I'll start that over. Hey, maybe now I can actually talk to the smugglers first, and I'll just breeze through their conversation. Anyway, what I was saying was something about, nope, I can't, so I gotta go back and talk to him anyway.
Commander, it's Niles.
Bye. Anyway, yeah, that was awful. That was a sad death. Anyway, no, I can't do that. Yeah, screw it.
Everybody stay calm out there. We're coming out. We're not armed.
Is it safe? Are they gone?
You're okay.
It showed up right before the attack.
Do you know anything
We're
about?
just farmers.
Do you know anything about the?
We're just
Prothean?
farmers. We're.
Yeah,
You don't know that. We
It was emitting some kind of whatever it was.
I have to go.
Jeez, Blake, you gotta learn when to. Some guys at the spaceport were running. I found a pistol.
Who's your
He's
contact?
not a bad guy. Yeah, okay, you're right.
I have to go.
Good luck.
Okay, bye. All right. Anyway,
Finally, some action.
so back to the shooting. I'm going to avoid the rocket launcher guy this time. In any case, we do this thing where we gradually, at least historically speaking, we gradually see more and more people as people. This is a gradual process. This is a slow process, and this is in fits and starts. We don't immediately think of every one of our species as a person. I mean, obviously, we have had problems with that throughout our past, and even those people those human beings who today we see as enlightened, we would still say that at this point they are sort of in the context of it was a drone. Okay, Unity.
I'm ready.
There we go. In our current context, that makes perfect sense, and there's nothing horrifyingly wrong, at least on the outset, about human beings or humans being synonymous with persons. However, if at some point we discover other sapient species, we're gonna have to wrestle with the fact that those other sapient species are essentially persons. Right? In the morally relevant sense, those are even humans, we would say. So in the metaphysical sense, we would say that they are human beings. If we're talking Aristotle, right? Aristotle defines human being as a rational animal. If we encounter other sapient species, they would be, for any morally significant purposes, we would probably want to consider them as humans. In the chat, WizKid says, what do you think it's so gradual on a societal level? Is it just a side effect of human nature that we all share? Probably. I'm not a sociologist. But if I were to speculate, and I might as well, because it's part of what I'm here for. Yeah? Okay. I'll turn down the sound bit. Sound effects. Here, let's switch sound effects and music, because music is nice. Let's do that. Okay, cool. Yeah, exposure is, I think, a factor. L'Orealia. Yeah, I do think exposure is a significant factor. It's easy to hate people you have never seen. At the same time, it's easier to sympathize, or I guess maybe you should say, technically if we were to say empathize with people that you interact with regularly. So there is an exposure effect. I don't know what was fine. Was the music too loud now? ME1's got a really cool sound effect. Soundtrack, though. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. Understandably. In any case, part of the point, right, so is that I think part of it is kind of our human nature, right? That we
set the charges,
by default prefer those who are closer to us than those who are further away. Whether that means exposure or whether that means social relationships. Oh, is it really? Okay, I can turn that down as well. Yeah, I'll fiddle with that in just a moment after a cutscene. Alright, let me mess with that. How about this? Let's do that. Let's see how that is. What? Oh, I don't want to mess with that. Alright. So let's see how that does. If it's still a problem, let me know. In any case, so like I was saying,
Demolition charges. The Geth must have planted them.
Hurry! We need to find them all and shut them
I have
down.
to just wait here. So what I was really pointing out, in part, I do think it is a lot to do with our human nature, right? We don't really have a tendency to want to be good to people if we have a reason not to. If we have an excuse even not to, that is a there we go. That didn't work. That's fine. Right, if we have even a pretty paltry excuse not to be good and kind to people, then we're probably not going to. Right? That just kind of comes down to human fallenness, right? We are imperfect. We are profoundly imperfect, and part of that kind of manifests in how we treat each other, obviously, and our reticence to accept new people. Part of it is also our tendency to distrust. Right, and that also can depend on what level of trust we're used to in our particular social context as well. If we are used to a higher level of trust, then it seems to me, at least, that we would be more willing to accept outsiders, and more quick to allow outsiders in a psychological sense. To start treating outsiders as insiders, or start treating them as us, to use the kind of earlier language. Where is it? It's right over there. So, last one, we're good. Otherwise, I mean, if you really want a good answer as to why, find a good sociologist to tell you, because I'm sure there's social psychological effects there that are affecting whether we treat, or how quick we are, or how readily we treat outsiders like us, like more of us. How quickly we are to transition from them to us, I guess, if you want to call it that. I'm gonna shotgun for this. Sniper rifle, shotgun. There.
Negative contacts, Commander.
No, really? Damn. I just switched. Alright, there's some stuff over here, but my inventory and my credits are both completely full, so I'm just going to go straight to the beacon. I am going to finish the thought I was going on right now, though. Omnigel. There. I net gained a little. Anyway. So... And then we have this tendency, like I said, to... so actually, let me go to what WizKid has to say. So you said, true, and that distrustfulness is innate because it starts in childhood. Oh, damn. There. It starts in childhood when you're afraid of anyone outside your immediate family, especially if your family is anti-outsider. Yeah, I think that's correct. And really, any in-group is, psychologically speaking, as far as I understand it, something like an extension of our family, right? So we're very prone to what the ancients, particularly the Greeks, would call piety, which is preference. I mean, what psychologists will call in-group preference. So Lorelia, you could also look at it from the other way. What stops someone from being a racist? Like, what can change their mind? Part of it, again, is exposure. Part of it is it's reason. Right? And I would take the reason angle, and that's kind of where I was going with this. I kind of want to talk about it before doing the beacon thing, but I kind of also want to do the beacon thing. So I'll give my potential answer after we have Shepard almost die for a minute. So I'm gonna shut up for a bit for the cool cutscene and the vision and all that. So let's see how we do.
Normandy, the beacon is secure.
This is amazing. Actual working Prothean technology. Unbelievable.
It wasn't doing anything like that when they dug it up.
Something must have activated it.
Roger, Normandy. Standing by.
Shepard!
No, don't touch her. It's too dangerous.
So I don't know if Thomas is still here, but that was almost frame. We were in our tabletop.
We identified the ship that touched down on Eden Prime, the Normandy, a human alliance vessel. It was under the command of Captain Anderson. They managed to save the colony.
And the beacon.
One of the humans may have used it.
This human must be eliminated.
All right. So Shepard wakes up, and then we're back to it. So
Dr.
anyway,
Chavez. I think she's
WizKid
waking
says personality itself also plays into it. People who are high in openness and extroversion are more willing to accept outsiders. Yeah, as far as I know, that's perfectly true.
How are you feeling?
But again, I think there's more to it than that.
Minor
it
throbbing.
goes beyond
Nothing
just
serious.
the psychological
How long
effects
was
and the
I
social
out?
effects and
About
all that.
15 hours.
And even the effects
Something happened down there with
human
the beacon, I
fallenness
think.
and that sort of thing.
It's my fault. I must have triggered some kind of security.
There's also a
when I approached
rational
it. You had to push me out of
aspect
the way.
to the whole thing as well, which we shouldn't be so quick to discount, because, like I said,
You had no way to know what would happen.
another fun thing that I kind of want to talk about is
Actually,
how
we
it was
don't even know if
almost
that's what set it
Caden
off.
who was basically the shepherd.
Unfortunately,
but
we'll
come
never
back
get
to
the
that
chance to
because I do want to mention that. Anyway,
exploded.
but
System overload.
the rational
The
aspect
blast knocked you
to
cold.
to this kind of
Williams and I had to
expansion
carry you
of
back
the
here to the ship.
in-group, if you can call it that,
I appreciate it.
is like I was saying, from an
Physically, you're
ethicist's
fine.
point of view,
But
my
I
point of view,
detected some
is
unusual
that we
brain
should
activity.
try very
Abnormal
hard to
beta
figure
waves.
out
I also noticed an increase in your rapid
what
eye
it is that
Signs typically
makes
associated with
us
intense
us.
framing.
What is the essence of our in-group? Whether that is our family, whether that is our nation, whether that is our species, whether that is humans taken in the broad sense or humans taken in the biological sense. Those are two very different things. It was definitely a vision.
I saw.
Going
I'm
full
not
on
sure
into
what
this.
I saw. Death, destruction. Nothing's really clear.
I
But I think again, I think the morally significant factor that
How's our
really
Excel holding up,
delineates
Well, all the readings look normal.
humans.
I'd say the command is going to be fine.
Is like I kind of mentioned earlier.
Glad to hear it.
Aristotle would define human
Shepard, I need to
being
speak
as a rational animal, the rational animal.
I'll be in the mess if you need me.
Now, maybe we can say that Aristotle defined human beings that way
Sounds
because
like that beacon hit
he,
pretty hard,
like
Commander.
us,
Are you sure you're okay?
do not know
I don't like soldiers dying under my command.
don't know about any other rational animals, right?
You did a good job, Shepard.
Did we leave Gunnery Chief Williams back?
And
on
maybe
Eden
if Aristotle
Prime?
had known,
I
if
figured
there
we
were,
could use
if there
this
are,
order.
you know,
You
Saurian
can reassign
Turians
to the
and
normal.
etc.
Williams is a good soldier.
Maybe he would have
deserved it.
defined humans a little bit
Lieutenant
differently, maybe
Alenko
more
agrees with you.
biologically,
That's why I added her to our
genealogically, something like that. On the other hand, I think describing human
Intel dropped
beings,
the ball,
defining
sir.
human
We had
beings
no
as,
idea what we were walking
as
into
rational
down there.
animals
That's why things
does a
went to
lot
hell.
of important philosophical
Forget we
work,
haven't
because
been
that
outside the
is,
veil in 2
I think,
centuries, Commander.
the morally significant
Nobody could have
category,
predicted this.
not our biological species. Our biological species matters very little. In moral terms, it matters as little as, at least as little, if not even less, than blood relations or race, however we construe that, distinct from ethnicity. That might be its own separate thing having to do with culture that I don't want to really go into here for this. But
You said you needed to see me in
our
private,
biological
Captain?
species matters as little or less than any of that.
Things are bad.
In terms of
Nihilus is
ethics.
dead. The beacon was destroyed in Gether.
And the irony of it is
Council's
that
going on answers.
the plan for the video I have coming up eventually, it's on my list at least, is I want to take a look at some of the rhetoric we see from some of the human supremacists, sort of implied, coded as racists in Mass Effect, and compare it to some of the most pronounced humanists.
I didn't do anything wrong, Captain.
The sort of
I believe the
anti-racist
council
humanists
can see
that you see in today's real
I'll
world.
stand
Somebody
behind you
like
and your report, Shepard.
Bill Nye really
You're
comes
a
to
damned
mind
hero in my books.
because
That's not
I've
my
seen and heard him say
It's
things
Saren,
that could have
that
been
other Turian.
straight from the elusive
Saren's a
man's mouth, or
Spectre,
maybe from
one
that
of the
guy,
best, a living legend.
that Terra
But
Firma
if he's
party
working with
guy
the
in
Geth,
Mass Effect 1.
It means he's gone rogue.
It's just that the
rogue
context
Spectre.
shifts, and that
Saren's
shows
And
what
he
it shows
hates
is it doesn't show that Bill Nye's a racist or anything like that. That's not the.
He didn't come
course
to
he wants
Eden
to be.
Prime because he hates humans.
You're right. Saren has allied himself with
It's
the Geth.
not that
I don't know how.
humanists,
I don't
modern
know why.
humanists, are racists exactly.
something
It's
to
that
do with
their
that beacon.
it's that their
You were
categorization
there
for
just
how
before
they
that beacon
define the
self-destructed.
in-group
Did you see anything?
is
Any clue that might tell us what Saren was
is
after?
along the wrong categorization.
Just before I lost consciousness, I had some kind of...
Rhett's rational. You sound almost vegan in your rhetoric.
vision
Can
of
come
what?
off that way, but I have no intention of coming off that way. I have no problem with shooting alien gas bags. Hold on. How should she interpret this? Yeah, a
I
warning.
saw synthetics.
Yeah.
Geth, maybe.
Slaughtering
people.
Yeah, so I have no problem with shooting alien gas bags or eating space cows. Right. It's
we need to report
it's
this to the council.
so WizKid, you say functionally no, biological species doesn't really matter. However, it's one of those things it's easy for most people to get caught up on. Yeah, you see it. It's really obvious when, you're pink, you're a pink skin and they're blue, right? You can see the difference. It's pretty patently obvious, and the obvious things are really easy for us to notice, right? Which is also why we get hung up on racial differences, especially when they're obvious in the sort of aesthetics, in this aesthetic in terms of like visual aesthetics.
What are we going to tell them? I had a bad dream?
We don't know
I
what
mean, that's what they
information
think.
was stored
So
in that
yes.
beacon. Lost Prothean technology. Blueprints
No,
of
they
some ancient weapon of mass
but yeah,
destruction,
the
whatever.
sort of modern humanist,
Saren.
the Bill Nye types, etc. Though there's of course more to it. There's more people than that. It's not just I don't want
He
to pick
believes humans are a
exclusively
blight
on
on
Bill
the
Nye. It's just he has a little bit of a visual resemblance to the elusive
has the
man, and
secrets
he
from
has
the
a
beacon.
pretty strong
He has an army of
rhetorical
Geth at his command. He won't
resemblance.
stop until he's wiped humanity from the face of the galaxy.
So, Mrs. McCoy, you say, but not the shifty space cows. They show a little too much sapience. I'm going to try very hard to find that little dude on this stream sometime. We won't find him tonight, I'm pretty sure. But eventually I do want to find that little bastard, and it seems like he is probably a rational animal. Especially because a few short years later he has a high score in the Armax Arsenal Arena on the Citadel. If you've played the Citadel DLC, pay special attention to that, because apparently Shifty Cow is fully sapient and capable of using weapons. So that's cool. But in that case, he steals from you, and so that brings up ethics in terms of how humans in these terms interact or should interact with their humans. Yeah, Anderson.
I'll find some way to take him down.
Yes, Space Dad.
It's not that easy. He's a Spectre. He can go anywhere, do almost anything. That's why we need the Council on our side.
Jeez, I have enough credits for him to have a lot. He could buy a ship.
We prove Saren's gone rogue, and the Council will revoke his Spectre status.
Let's try. Let's be optimistic to start with.
And see if he can get us an audience with the Council. He'll want to
as much as I want this to be a Paragon run through, I'm probably going to hang up on the
getting
Council
close.
at least once.
Head up to the bridge and tell Joker to bring us into dock.
Okay. So, to the bridge. And it auto-saved. Good. Excuse me. So. Oh my gosh. I just realized how extremely larger the medical bay was in the SR1 than the SR2. I didn't realize that. Anyway.
Yes, Commander? Is there something you need?
Yeah, let's,
What do you know about Captain Anderson?
I've served with him for a few tours now. He knows when to let
the
things
categorization
slide,
that
the
the
crew
humanists,
knows pretty much anything
current
they'll
humanists,
ever run
and
into.
folks like Cerberus,
And he cares about the people
the
under
categorization that they take seriously
How well do
is
you know the lieutenant?
biological species,
I'd never worked
which
with him
is
before this
only
mission.
somewhat.
But he has an impressive service record.
It's
Over a
barely
dozen
relevant,
special
if it's relevant at
commendations.
all, in terms of
Tends to keep to himself, Maybe because of
actual
the
ethical
headaches.
decision making.
It's not easy being an L2.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, most biotics now use the L3 implants. Lieutenant Alenko was wired with the old L2 configuration. Sometimes there are complications.
What kind of complications?
Severe mental disabilities, insanity, crippling physical pain.
Yeah, that is also true.
It's a
I mean,
long
it
list of
technically,
horrific side effects.
Mrs. McCoy,
Hayden's
remember, it's a
lucky.
different ship.
He just
The
gets
configuration's different, but yeah, Edie takes up a lot of space in the medical bay that otherwise we wouldn't have to deal with.
How did you end up?
So yeah,
serving
that actually is a good point.
I enlisted
Why
right
that
out of
back
med
room especially is so much smaller in
would seem
ME2,
boring to
because I
to
guess it's just full of
I figured
AI
the
core.
colonies were teeming
So
with exotic
that makes
adventure.
sense.
I wanted to travel the
Um,
stars, tending the wounds of tough soldiers with piercing eyes and sensitive souls.
In any case, the
Turns out military life
the
is
sort of
quite
humanists
as romantic as I'd imagined.
take biological species
But
as the important
humanity
part,
needs the alliance,
and
wanted
they
to
see that as kind of
expand
enlightened and forward thinking because they've taken this step to expand their
Ever think you made the wrong choice?
expand their
think about
in-group
opening
as
a private
wide
practice
as they
back
can
on
currently
Earth.
make it.
Or maybe taking a position at one of the
The
new med
problem
centers out in the
is that it's
colonies.
not
But there's something
the
special
right
about
categorization. Now, as wide as they can possibly
left
make
the
it,
Alliance
doesn't
now, I
go
feel like I was
quite
abandoning
doesn't go quite as far as the
Goodbye, Commander.
the sort of vegans who the vegans that the rats you were kind of referring to, where they will accuse humanists of being speciesists, like you would, like you might accuse Ashley of being, if you're into that sort of thing. But if that's the case,
I'm glad you're okay, Commander.
yeah, maybe
Crew
that's
could
fine.
use some good news
And
after
I
what happened to
kind of
Jenkins.
tend to agree with that criticism to an extent.
Jenkins was a valuable part
But
of this crew.
not because
Part of me feels guilty over
not
what
because
happened.
humanists
If Jenkins was
neglect
still alive,
animal life,
I might
but
not
because,
be here.
like I said, they take
You're a
the
good soldier,
wrong
Williams. You
the
belong
wrong
in the
factor
Army.
as being morally significant. They
Commander.
take
I appreciate that.
Things were pretty rough
biological
down there.
species as being the important
you
thing,
okay?
not our
I've seen friends die
rationality
before.
or
Comes with being a Marine.
more so
The
Imago Dei, the image and likeness of God, that whole thing, the aspect of rational animal that means that we are a reflection of the divine, let's say.
Thanks, Commander.
Our reason and will, the rational
parts of us. I was a little worried about being assigned to the Normandy. It's nice when someone makes you feel welcome.
Incidentally, it is looking like...
I think you're gonna fit in.
It is looking like my next video based on that poll I had up, which if you haven't voted in, go check out my Facebook page, vote in that poll, do the react to vote sort of thing. If you haven't yet, check that out and let me know what video you'd be interested in seeing next, what video lecture, because the semester's over as of today. My students, you know that. So I am going to be producing more, less content that's organized by classes, and more content that's organized just by what sorts of things I want to talk about and what sorts of things you guys and other viewers want to hear. So because of that, one of them I'm considering is another video on freedom of choice, or what will eventually come to be called free will. In particular, I want to look at a distinction that Anselm makes that we've talked about in class. So this distinction between spontaneous and not natural. Spontaneous and not natural. What's the contrast? I can't think of the contrast term. If any of you guys who yeah, that's also true. If any of you guys do have if you can think of what I'm trying to think of, I'm going to turn the speech volume a little down again. If any of you can think of the contrast term, just shoot it in the chat. I will try and think of it. I don't have my book within arm's reach. Otherwise, I'd check. Oh, I do. I'll look. In any case, it is. So that distinction, and then the similar distinction that Duns Scotus makes a few hundred years later between rational and natural. So that'll contribute quite a bit to. Oh, so it is. Yeah, Anselm also calls it natural. I was thinking it was something different. All right, let's do that. That'll help. In any case, so the either spontaneous or natural versus natural, or the rational versus natural.
Hey, Commander. Looking for some extra
however you want to make the distinction.
What have you got?
Whatever you want. Armor, weapons, mods.
That the rational or spontaneous, in other words, reason and will, are what differentiates
as long as you don't mind paying for it.
The metaphysical species of humanity.
My stuff doesn't come from the Alliance.
So here comes the interesting and controversial part of what I've been talking about for the last, half an hour.
But no licenses, no goods. Without the goods,
let's see if I can get licenses.
What are licenses? Why do you need them?
The controversial part is that this has the implication that aliens are, in the relevant sense, human.
I already have several basic
right, so,
but you'll need to buy more if you want me to bring in different brands.
Nihilus,
many of the best licenses
who was
are hard to
just
get,
killed,
they're
right,
well worth the cost if you can
is
find
a
them.
human in the relevant sense. And what this means is that was homicide, right? Murder in particular, but homicide in that a human being was killed, a human being was
what do the different
murdered.
manufacturers offer?
So
there are too many for me to keep track of.
What this
each license will explain what it's good for.
How often will you get new items?
Oh, new items. Okay.
Well, that depends on how many licenses you've purchased. But I'll rotate items on a regular basis regardless. And anytime we land someplace with a big enough port, I'll buy, sell, and trade whatever I can. Check back often. I need to move items quickly,
so
the most
Lorelia,
items will be stocked consistently.
I don't actually need to buy
anything.
anything.
Not right now, thanks.
No problem. Keep checking back.
So, like, what if it's less Star Trek and more Doom or Cthulhu? Well, Doom, it's not aliens exactly. It's demons. So demons have souls. It's just they have angelic souls that are, fallen and corrupted by evil, etc. However you want to put that. Right? So WizKid says that human in all practical purposes of ethics, but alien biologically, for all intents and purposes, people. It's tricky to wrap the brain around. Yeah, it sure is. The most delightfully confusing way I have yet thought of to think of it is if you're familiar with the scholastic distinction of genus and species, where we get our biological distinction of genus and species. So the species of something is the specific difference. It's what sets out a particular kind of substance from other substances of a similar kind. So like a coffee cup and a drinking glass are both species of the genus cup or drinking vessel, right? Specific difference. What this would mean, though, is that we meaning, humans and Turians, share the same specific difference. In other words, we're the same species, but we are different. We are of different genera or different genuses, which I don't know if that is possible given standard scholastic metaphysics. I know there are no examples I can think of in the actual literature, but I can think of another parallel example. For example, if I were to talk instead about so a book, right? If you have a book, the species is what book it is, what title it is. So in front of me, I have Anselm's 3 Philosophical Dialogues, but I also have.
Good timing,
and it is technically a codex.
It
is a bound paperback book. But I also might have, and I do have, that same book as an ebook. And if I have it as an ebook, what that means is I have 2 different books, but they're the same book. Same species, different genus. I'm going to shut up for a minute because this is quite incredible. So let's give it a second.
The size of that ship.
The Ascension, flagship of the Citadel fleet.
Well, size isn't everything.
Why so touchy, Joker?
I'm just saying you need firepower too.
Look at that monster. Its main gun could rip through the barriers in any ship in the Alliance fleet.
Good thing it's on our side then.
Citadel Control, this is SSV Normandy, requesting permission to land.
Stand by for clearance, Normandy. Clearance granted. You may begin your approach. Transferring you to an Alliance operator.
Roger, Alliance Tower. Normandy out.
Normandy, this is Alliance Tower. Please proceed to Dock 422.
Nice. All right, so something something that's pretty relevant to this.
This is an outrage! The Council would step in if the...
Let's let Odina be mad for a minute.
The Turians don't found colonies on the borders of the Terminus systems, Ambassador.
Humanity was well aware of the risks when you went into the Traverse.
What about Saren? You can't just ignore a rogue Spectre. I demand action!
You don't get to make demands of the Council, Ambassador.
Citadel Security is investigating your charges against Saren. We will discuss the CSEC findings at the hearing, not before.
Captain Anderson, I see you brought half your crew with you.
Just the ground team from Eden Prime, in case you had any questions.
I have the mission reports. I assume they're accurate?
They are. Sounds like you convinced the Council to give us an audience.
They were not happy about it.
Yeah,
Saren's their top agent.
Mrs. McCoy saying, oh my god, Udina is so loud. Yes, he's incredibly loud. That's why he's a politician. He's also vaguely Irish, I think.
Saren's a threat to
implied
every
that he's
human
vaguely
colony
Irish.
out there. He needs to be
so,
stopped.
understandable.
The Council has to listen to us.
He's a loud
Settle
mouth.
down, Commander.
Will never shut up
You've
ever.
already done more than enough to jeopardize your candidacy for the Spectres. The mission
Till you
on
shoot him,
Eden
but
Prime was
that's
a chance to
getting
prove
ahead
you
of
could
ourselves.
get the job done. Instead, Nihilus ended up dead and the beacon was destroyed.
He really does have no indoor voice, though, does he?
Then we better hope the CSEC investigation turns up evidence to support our accusations. Otherwise, the Council might use this as an excuse to keep you out of the Spectres. Come with me, Captain. I want to go over a few things before the hearing. Shepard, you and the others can meet us at the Citadel Tower, top level. I'll make sure you have clearance to get in.
All right, well...
And that's why I hate politicians.
Me too, Ash, me too. Anyway, so what I was saying, let's hack it. I thought that was going to be a pun. I thought it was about Admiral Hackett, but it's not. Captain Hendrickson reported some unusual activity readings in the patrol of the Argus Row cluster. She had particular concerns about the Hydra system, was recalled before her team could investigate further. No patrols scheduled in that section. Do you want to send a recon team? Nah, I'll just go and check that out myself, because I like snooping. And that's, I guess, what wannabe Spectres do. In any case, whether we're talking about Volus, or Elcor, or humans, or Turians, or whatever, for ethical purposes, as WizKid, as you pointed out, they are, for all ethical purposes and even metaphysical purposes, they are human, right? Biologically, they might be a different biological species. They might have a different biological composition, different descent. It's a different genealogy.
I am Din Korlak, Volus Ambassador. Is there something I can do for you, Earth Clan?
But I mean, as Din here points out, it's more or less like the difference between clans or families or people of different descents or ethnicities, more than it's like the difference between a man and his dog, right? That's a much broader difference, because rational creature versus brute or irrational creature.
Chastising rebuke, Din. Your species has always been granted many concessions. Volus territory has expanded tenfold since coming to the Citadel.
Details. We still have no real say in the decisions that affect Citadel space.
Again, he's got a really good point.
What is this place?
Because, humans are very ambitious.
For the Volus and the Elcor.
Your ambassador is next door, in his own office.
In this shared space, I aid my fellow Volus when I'm not being interrupted.
What is it you do here?
I look out for the best interests of the Volus people. No easy task considering how often we are overlooked by the Council.
Chastising rebuke, Din.
Yeah, as alien as the aliens are, both culturally and biologically in Mass Effect, they do such a great job with that compared to a lot of sci-fi IPs.
Why aren't the Elcor or Volus part of the Council?
Oh, that's a good point.
All species must prove themselves before they join the Council. All but the Earth clans, it would seem.
Dismissive. Ignore the Volus ambassador, human. He is incorrect in his assessment.
Yeah, so there are not very many rubber forehead aliens, with the exceptions of the Asari, in Mass Effect. And hey, what
I'd
about
like
the
to know
Volus?
more about the Volus.
I'm sure our history and culture would bore you, Earth Clan.
But talking about the different, as radically different as the species are biologically, right? Asari are monogendered. They have the cool, telepathy thing. They're all biotic. Volus are not silicon based. They are, I think silicon based because they breathe sulfur dioxide. Or sulfur dioxide or ammonia, but they're a very high temperature, high pressure species compared to compared to most of the rest of the species in the galaxy that we know of. Elcor are from a wildly high gravity environment, so they have different adaptations for that. Turians are plucked birds.
We barter and trade our lands and tribe members in order to increase status.
But I think it's
often engulf smaller ones,
they do such a good job of showing the immense biological differences between peoples, between alien species. But at the same time, they don't
our services for protection.
They don't go too deep into the whole orange and blue morality kind of thing. They don't treat them as thinking in a fundamentally different way, at least not for the most part.
Hello there, human.
They're still people, just with different cultural backgrounds and different assumptions and that sort of thing.
Right now.
You seem distressed. Is there something I can do to help?
Alarmed response. You overheard that, did you? This is all going so wrong, and it is the Asari consort's fault. She's the one who started all this.
The who?
Who's this Asari consort?
Aurelia says, I don't think aliens equals people is too hard. A lot of people think dogs are people. That's true. That really, if nothing else, speaks to the human ability to personify, or maybe we can, if we're going to be really, what would be the term? If we're going to be really psychological about it, our ability to pack bond.
Where can I find this Asari consort?
She is across
we can think of our dogs as people, but only if we're not thinking very clearly.
Good day, human.
Part of the problem with considering dogs as people is, I mean, straightforwardly, they're not. Right? They are irrational animals. They don't have the same rational capacities that we do. And again, not just in difference in degree, but a difference in kind. And because of that radical difference...
Good day, Commander. The human ambassador is up the stairs, first room on the right.
You know who I am?
Yes, I receive reports on all new...
The difference, of course, being that if
what is this place?
aliens are people in the same sense that we are, if they're rational animals, if they are...
if you have more questions, please access Savina.
Capable of the same kinds of things that we are, mentally speaking, reason and will. Treating them as people is the rational response, right? It's the thing that we ought to do.
Administrative assistant for the embassies.
Given,
seem to be distracted.
Given what we know about these alien species, we know that Asari are intelligent, just like humans are. We know that they are capable of reason and free choice, etc., all of this stuff. So for all intents and purposes, they are, humans in the relevant sense. They're people. I always forget how ridiculously tall Solarians are. I always think of them as little green men. But, look at this. What? I forget that they're the really tall, lanky type people. I always think of Solarians as short. Whatever. Anyway. That was a side note. So WizKid Gamer says, if anything, it shows our willingness to emotionally bond with literally anything. Yeah, absolutely. We love cute, fluffy things at least as much as we love, other people. And also, I mean, on another note, we have a tendency to confuse affection for love, let's say. To put it in, say, something like C.S. Lewis's terms, there are the four loves, right? And two of them would be affection and love. Love in the caritas or agape sense. Willing the good of the other. We mix these things up really, really easily. It's kind of the thing we do.
Commander Shepard. I didn't expect to see you here.
Mrs. McCoy says, like yeast. When I'm using yeast, I call them my little babies as lovingly as I lovingly them sugar, so they bloom. Right? So yes, I am aware of this, and that is a thing that I can confirm. I can confirm that she does in fact do this, and it is super weird and adorable. So. It has to have something to do with with us having a toddler and you being pregnant as well. I assume there's Well, I don't know. I would assume there's some
Have we met
hormonal
before?
issues going on there, but
No,
you're
I
always
know
like
you
this,
well
so maybe
enough.
not.
I'm Executive Palin, head of
Regardless,
CSEC.
it's yes.
It's my
We
job
humans
to
are
know when
really,
someone
really
like
good at
you arrives
personifying
on the Citadel.
or
Was there something you
anthropomorphizing.
needed, Commander?
Why
I
don't
get
you like
the
humans?
feeling you're not too fond of humans.
No, I just don't trust your kind. Not yet. You humans are eager to take all the power you can get, and you're being given a lot. If the Council wants to make humanity their new favorite pet, that's their business. But I don't have to like it.
The Council treats us like second-class citizens. We have to fight for everything we get.
Good. Then fight for it. But don't expect the rest of us to just sit back and let you take it. I'm a busy man, Commander. Are we done here?
No, I want you to talk to me about literally everything you can talk to me about possible. Yeah, the whole, so, Ms. McCoy, you say, some people can slap googly eyes on a Roomba and think it's the best friend, so, yeah, that too. You know, put a knife on it, now it's a knife Roomba. That follows the same meme, at least.
Of course, as the CSEC representative to the Council, I spend most of my time liaising
yeah, definitely.
between the two.
Let's see, tell me about the Spectres.
What do you know about the Spectres?
They're the right hand of the Council, or so they like to be called. More like the underhanded side of the Council.
What do you have against the Spectres?
I can't abide any organization that considers itself above the law. Especially when it's left up to each individual Spectre to decide when and how to bend the rules.
Wait, why did I say that?
Sometimes you have to bend the law to
No,
keep
she wouldn't say
people
that.
safe.
Ah,
I've been
damn,
with
whatever.
CSEC for 30 years.
Anyway,
I've never had to break the
so
law
what I
to
was,
do my job, not once.
my overall thesis to what I'm
Yeah,
kind of
right.
saying here about
You
the whole
expect us to believe none
aliens
of your
being
officers
aliens
are
and humans
corrupt?
being roughly
There are over
speaking,
200,000 CSEC agents.
metaphysically
Some of them
speaking,
are
the
going
same
to be
species.
bad. But we don't turn a blind eye to
Is
corruption like
the humanist?
We do our best to find and punish any officer
Yeah,
who
the
breaks
humanist
law.
response takes.
Spectres. They'll never come
It winds up being roughly the same as the human supremacist sort of racist type thing.
Tell me about your investigation into Saren.
that we see in
Sorry,
Mass Effect.
I don't make a habit of giving out details about ongoing investigations.
Oh, did you see the mandible spread thing? I don't know if they had the conventions in yet, if they'd really refined what those mean, but typically that's Turian facial expression for kind of being sheepish. Almost like a shrug. Interesting. I'm okay, so it might be weird that I noticed that, but
I'll be
like I
going
said,
now.
I really love what they did with alien facial expressions. I think it's really brilliant how well they can convey emotions through like weird, Turian bird with mandibles. Diplomatic advisory. Following message was transmitted from an untraceable account to multiple recipients across the extranet. Further monitoring of the situation is warranted. My fellow biotic, you've been selected to receive this transmission because of our shared plight. Few understand us, a fewer tolerate us. We must stand together. We must build our own new world. Come, join us in the Hawking Ada cluster. Only as one body can we right the wrongs done to our kind. So, I mean, that actually brings up another aspect of weird discrimination, especially among humans. Among humans, it makes sense because the whole biotic thing is relatively new. But in general terms, throughout most of the galaxy, biotics are just normal. The entire Asari species are biotic, so it's not that big a deal,
What do you want? Oh, Commander. Is there something I can do for you?
Relax, Private. This isn't an inspection.
Right, sorry. What can I do for you, Commander?
Lorelli as best team, Garrus plus Tally. Yeah, maybe.
Well, she's an Asari.
Especially if I were playing a biotic, pure biotic, and adept, that might be good.
Things. You never went to see her, did you, Fredericks?
No, I never did.
Oh, his face is
couldn't
weird.
afford it. It costs half a year's credits just to go in and talk to her.
But yeah, the
Can you at least tell me where I can find her?
Sure. She's
I
across
pretty
the bridge from the
consistently
embassy.
have
Thanks, kid. Have fun.
my
Try not to get into too much trouble.
significant other or potential significant other in my party. So that does typically alter how things go. In terms of like party banter, Garrus and Tally is probably the best
I don't have time to
pair.
talk. I'm very busy.
Probably the best pair, especially in including an ME1, and then even really, really great moving forward. So yeah, that's fair. As far as team comp goes, as far as just straightforward, who do I need to actually fight? I lean more Garrus and Caden for the extra biotics. So I've got a good deal of tech and a good deal of biotics, and Garrus manages to do some good combat stuff. Either Garrus and Caden, or Garrus and Rex, who are, I'll also say,
Greetings, and welcome to
really
the
great for
Prothean.
party banter.
My name is Avina, and I am pleased to be your virtual guide throughout this level of the Citadel space station.
What does that mean?
I am a fully interactive virtual intelligence, programmed to provide spontaneous guidance at predetermined locations of interest throughout this level of the Citadel.
I really love how they make this this good distinction between virtual intelligence and artificial intelligence.
Give me the tour.
You are standing
How incredibly illegal artificial intelligence is, and that apparently it's a really hard, strong line between that and mere virtual intelligence like this, which is just a user interface kind of thing.
Where the council meets regularly to discuss matters of interstellar importance.
Other sci-fis do make this distinction, but sometimes the lines are much blurrier. Usually you see something like weak versus strong AI, something like that, or
Citadel security
what
serves as law enforcement for all
does Halo call
regions
it?
of
Is
the
it
Citadel.
smart versus dumb
Though the
AI, I
majority
think, or
of
something like
officers
that.
serve in the wards. Executor
But actually having the
Pattern
distinction
is the
be
current head of
between
CSEC,
virtual
but
intelligence, meaning
individuals
it
from
pretends to
virtually
be
every
intelligence, it
species
looks like
across
intelligence,
Citadel
it imitates
space serve as
intelligence,
officers
versus
beneath
artificial
you.
intelligence,
If you
which
wish to
implies that
learn
it
more,
is an actual
Executor
intelligent
Palin's
thinking
office is
thing.
located in the CSEC
It's just
headquarters
created
just across
artificially,
the
it's
lobby.
created through technology, rather than being biological. That fits with a lot of the themes as well of like, what are the Geth? What are the Reapers? What are what is that weird little AI in the terminal in ME1? What is ED? Right, like ED is obviously another example.
Do you know anything about specters?
The term specter is derived
But the
from
lore
branch of
seems to
special tactics and
suggest
reconnaissance.
that the
Each specter agent is handpicked by the
that
council. Their primary role
the
is
AIs
preserving
are
galactic stability and
persons, are
resolving
effectively
volatile
persons.
situations that cannot be handled through normal political channels. In this role, they are granted
Which is
extraterritorial
sketchy.
rights and jurisdictions.
Then again,
Specters
I mean, if
answer to
AI
no
is
law or
possible,
authority except the council itself.
my expertise is not in the philosophy of mind. So
What can you tell me about the Citadel Council?
I'm
Originally,
not
the council consisted of representatives from the Asari and Salarians,
I'm not settled
the two
on
dominant species in Citadel
the
space.
on
Roughly
if AI is possible,
1,304
if
galactic
strong
standard
AI or
years
smart
ago,
AI or however we want to call it,
Turians
as
were
AI
invited
is
to join the
possible,
council in recognition
like
of
the
role
Geth,
they played
like
during the
Edie,
Krogan
that sort of thing.
rebellion.
If it is in fact a person,
Since then, the three council races have worked together to
I
ensure the
do
peaceful
not have the
coexistence
expertise
of
to
the
decide on a
galactic
question like
community,
that, quite
while
frankly,
preserving
despite,
individual
my
autonomy
expertise is
for
in
each
philosophy, but it's
species.
not in that area of philosophy in particular.
It
So,
can't be as simple as that.
I
There must
will,
be problems somewhere in the system.
I'll give it some more thought as we go through, but
kind of
I don't know.
qualified judgment.
I do
My
tend
code
to
is
think
limited
that
to
strong AI
information
is
and
impossible.
simple interaction simulations.
I would defer to somebody like Edward Phaser, who is a Thomist, Aristotelian Thomist philosopher who is an expert on philosophy of mind. Well read on people like Searle, who cover issues like this. Where am I going? I need to talk to the consort, right? For if we're doing side quests. Oh, also I should definitely save. Holy crap, it's been too long. It's dangerous. I'm not going to die on the Citadel, but still. No. No. No, okay, just to the town, to the council. All right, cool. But yeah, it's I do not tend to think that strong AI is possible. There's a lot of reasons for this, and I'm perfectly willing to be wrong about that. Just because, again, like I said, I'm not enough of an expert on the matter to say with any kind of certainty. So again, I could... Oh yeah, that is... yeah, Mrs. McCoy, you are correct. You can die on the Citadel. There's a few times you get into shooting matches. Also, you can just sort of shoot things in ME1, which is nice. It's also completely ridiculous that you can just kind of take out a gun and just start spraying. I love that. So WizKid says, to me, if it's possible, we shouldn't do it because, as Frankenstein teaches us, mankind cannot be trusted with virtual godhood. However, if we ever do it, it would be it would defend their personhood. Using the same argument you laid out for aliens, assuming you would defend their personhood. Possibly. Again, there's an issue with the what the thing is that is doing the thinking and what the thought is that's going on. If it is true abstraction, which way is the tower? This way. If it is true abstraction, and what we ordinarily call reason, like what we analogize to human reason.
Look at that bug thing over there.
Ooh, a keeper.
Please do not disturb the keepers.
And ask about them,
Welcome
'cause
to
they're
Presidium
important.
Tourism Terminal 2. You are standing near the base of the Citadel Tower, one of the Presidium's
If it
most
is in fact
recognizable
thinking,
and important
if it is in
structures.
fact doing rational abstraction,
Behind me
then it would
is
seem
the
to me that
spectacular relay monument, a scale model
it would have
representation of a Prothean mass relay. To
it would have
your
something
left is
like
one of the
a
keepers,
rational
the
soul.
enigmatic caretakers of the Citadel, working on a control panel.
From my
You
sort
may
of
see
speculation
keepers
on this
involved in
topic,
various tasks throughout all
if
levels
something
of the
is to have a
Citadel.
rational soul, I've laid out this
do not
before when I've
interfere
talked
with
about
them in any
Aristotle's parts of the soul,
The keepers are
that the
essential to
rational
the
part
smooth
builds
operation
upon
of
the
the
lower
Citadel.
parts. Right? So you need a vegetative soul, you need growth,
result in
reproduction,
harsh
nutrition.
penalties,
You
including
need an
and
animate soul, so locomotion, sensation, that sort of thing. And only then, once you have that,
Tell me more about
can
the
you
relay
build upon that.
Discovered by
And
the Asari who first
the
arrived at the Citadel.
what's it called?
The relay monument
The,
is one of the station's most interesting and controversial features.
controversial.
What is the meaning behind this striking piece of art? Is it a tribute to Prothean vanity? A reminder of
that's-
their conquest of the galaxy through mass relay
fair enough.
technology? Or perhaps it is a symbol of unity? A Prothean acknowledgement that the
In any
relays
case,
would eventually lead
so
other species here to the Citadel.
what I was saying, so
No one can say for sure.
if we're talking about strong
making the
AI that is
relay
capable of
monument a
thinking,
favorite topic
it
of
seems to
discussion
me that it
among
would have to be
academics and scholars.
analogous to an animal, to some extent.
I'd like to know more
at
about
least
the
in some way.
keepers.
That it would have to have first
peaceful servants of
the
Citadel,
capacity
though
for
they are
nutrition and
essential to the
reproduction,
operation
not
and maintenance
just
of the entire
pure abstract
Citadel regulations
programming.
protect the keepers
It would
against
have to be in
interference
some
during
sense
the
tied to its
performance of their
hardware.
tasks. Failure to comply will result in
Because
harsh
it would need to build up to intelligence, if not, practically speaking,
but are
certainly
typically found
metaphysically.
in and around the tower.
At least that's what seems like to me.
Any particular reason?
Yeah,
there's
so
many keepers
Mrs.
in this
McCoy
area?
says the fact
The
that no one
keepers do
studied
not
that statue and
communicate with
discovered
other
what it
species.
was is
It is
mind-boggling.
assumed, however, that the tower houses the Citadel's
Yeah.
primary control systems. Many
Yeah,
of the
that's
station's
kind of
systems, such as
kind of a big
navigation
deal.
and life support, function automatically. It is believed the keepers
Yeah, that's kind of
operate
really
the
a big
systems
deal.
from inside the tower's
I mean,
inaccessible
even
core.
technologically
also
speaking,
make
it's amazing that
frequent
that thing
appearances in the
exists
council chamber itself,
compared
though they
to
appear to be just
the mass
passing through
relays,
on their way to some other destination.
the quote real ones. It's actually really impressive if you give it some thought,
That's all for now.
because
Thank you,
you know,
for using Avina.
it's this
Have a
big.
pleasant day.
And to scale, right? So if I am standing next to this thing, right? I'm this big compared to that. That's a butt. Hi, Caden. I am to scale. If this were like a real in-space mass relay, this would be something like I would be something like a dreadnought, maybe larger. I'm gonna spoil something here, so mute for 10 seconds if you don't want it spoiled. That is one hell of a feat of miniaturization of technology. So WizKid says, why do you reason it that way? It always seemed to me that the only requirement for personhood would be generative novel thought. It would be impossible for a robot to reproduce in the way we do. Possibly. Reproduction by inorganic reproduction, so to speak, could occur not via, sexual intercourse or whatever, but could hypothetically come about via something like, call it digital reproduction, right? That the AI, the true AI, reproduces a version of itself which is somehow randomized or somehow changed or something like that. Right? And if that is the case, and if that's what we're talking about in terms of reproduction, then it would have a next step beyond simply maintaining itself. Now, the reason that Aristotle puts reproduction and nutrition in the same category is because he thinks they're basically the same thing. Both of them are striving to continue oneself. Yes, yeah, Mr. McCoy, like my speculation on metacons. So to explain, this is why I designed them that way in the game. In our Mass Effect tabletop, I introduced metacons. Metacons being the AI species that the Protheans nearly wiped out in their cycle, that they fought against and won, barely won. And I had them reproduce, but they reproduce by randomizing their programming using using the information gained from communication, essentially communication with another Metacon AI. And so when they reproduce, they create a new program which combines the experience and personality of its, quote, parents, if you want to call them parents. Something like that. So this was part of my sort of speculation, trying to think through how inorganic reproduction could work. I think something like that is reasonable. That said, no, never mind, that doesn't work. I was about to say, if an inorganic AI species were truly immortal, it would have no reason to reproduce, but that's an impossibility because they would still be physical in a sense, right? Even if they're information, they would be information on something. So they would have no reason to. They would still have a reason to reproduce because they would still decay, even if it's just a matter of physical necessity.
Saren's hiding something. Give me more time. Stall them.
Stall the council? Don't be ridiculous. Your investigation is over, Garrus.
So WizKid, okay, that would be functionally the same
Commander
thing as meiosis during conception.
I was the officer in charge
and the
of
genes
C-Sec
split and then
investigation
recombine
in
into
Saren.
something new. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. And part of the reason for sexual reproduction, part of the reason for sexual reproduction over and above asexual reproduction, in that why it evolved in the animal kingdom in particular, is randomized like Futurama robots, Relia, maybe kind of. I also tied in a little bit of Asari reproduction. I'll probably talk about that eventually as well. Asari reproduction depends on randomization. Randomization based on someone else's genome, basically. So there's that. But yeah, the reason for meiosis rather than is it mitosis, asexual reproduction, the other cell splitting, is because it gains new information and it allows for more beneficial evolutionary changes, more or less. At least as I understand the process, as I understand the evolutionary process.
Sounds like you really want to bring him down.
So that does.
Something about him rubs me the wrong way.
That would give an additional reason to reproduce rather than to simply replicate oneself.
I can't find any hard evidence.
I think the council's ready for us, Commander.
Good luck, Shepard. Maybe they'll listen to you.
Yeah, so I'm not. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm dedicated. I'm hardline dedicated to this idea that AIs would only be possible if they are, not just rational but also vegetative and animate. Man, this area just looks like it would make such great strategic cover. Wouldn't it be so weird if at some point there were combat here? Anyway. But yeah, it would be a... I think that this is more or less my speculation. This is how I think things would go. If AI is really possible, it would have to kind of be built up from the bottom like this. But beyond that, first of all, I'm not convinced strong AI is possible from the outset. Even if it is possible, I could be completely wrong. Again, I'm not an expert on philosophy of mind. I'm not even an expert on Aristotelian psychology, right? The metaphysics of the soul. So WizKid, so is it one of the reasons why viruses aren't considered alive? Because they're basically all clones of themselves. In part, part of it is also that a virus is only a... If I'm going all Aristotelian here, viruses are pure form, in a sense. They have no their material cause doesn't matter for their form, right? Ours does. Any other biological organism, the material cause matters.
Is a matter of some concern.
I'll come back to this.
Nothing to indicate Saren was involved in any way.
The investigation by Citadel security turned up no evidence to support your charge of treason.
An eyewitness saw him kill Nihilus in cold blood.
We've read the Eden Prime reports, Ambassador. The testimony of one traumatized dock worker is hardly compelling proof.
I resent these accusations. Nihilus was a fellow Spectre and a friend.
That just let you catch him off guard.
Captain Anderson, you always seem to be involved when humanity makes false charges against me. And this must be your protege, Commander Shepard. The one who let the beacon get destroyed.
You're the one who destroyed the beacon, then you tried to cover it up.
Shift the blame to cover your own failures. Just like Captain Anderson. He's taught you well. But what can you expect from a human?
Saren despises humanity. That's why he attacked Eden Prime.
Your species needs to learn its place, Shepard. You're not ready to join the Council. You're not even ready to join the Spectres.
He has no right to say that. That's not his decision.
Shepard's admission into the Spectres is not the purpose of this meeting.
This meeting has no purpose. The humans are wasting your time, Counselor, and mine.
Notice his mandibles doing basically nothing. I feel like that's a tell. I feel like that's like a tell that he's insincere, because most of the time when Turians are talking, their mandibles are going everywhere.
You can't hide behind the Council forever.
There is still one outstanding issue. Commander Shepard's vision. It may have been triggered by the beacon.
Are we allowing dreams into evidence now? How can I defend my innocence against this kind of testimony?
I agree. Our judgment must be based on facts and evidence, not wild imaginings and reckless speculation.
Do you have anything else to add, Commander Shepard?
You've made your decision. I won't waste my breath.
The Council has found no evidence of any connection between Saren and the Geth. Ambassador, your petition to have him disbarred from the Spectres is denied.
I'm glad to see justice was served.
This meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, so other side note before I get back to the viruses thing, that Asari Counselor Tavos, in our game, which for those of you who are not familiar with this, who I've not mentioned really, takes place about 10 years after the Destroy ending, and in our continuity, that Counselor Tavos is the only one of the four of the Council who survived that long, in part because I, for fan service reasons, really wanted to put Garrus on the Council as the Turian, because it's pretty heavily implied that sort of thing would
on a mission a long time ago. Things went bad.
That would be his career path in 3.
We shouldn't talk about this here, but I know what he's like, and he has to be stopped.
We need to deal
Let's
with
be
Saren
dismissive
ourselves.
about the Council.
As a Spectre, he's virtually untouchable. We need to find some way to expose him.
For those of you who are curious, it was Garrus, Hackett, Tavos is still there, and a new unnamed Solarian, because Solarians don't last very long. Rude as that sounds, but...
I have a contact in CSEC who can help us track Garrus down.
Anyway, so...
His name is Harkin.
Forget it. They suspended Harkin last month, drinking on the job. I won't waste my time with that.
Yeah,
you won't have to.
Gonna, though.
I don't want the council using your past history with Saren as an excuse to ignore anything.
What I was talking about viruses.
Shepard will handle this.
You can't just cut Captain Anderson
Space Dad,
out of this
no.
investigation.
The ambassador's right.
I would say that viruses are not
I need to take care of
organisms.
Captain, meet me in my office later.
Not because they reproduce by effectively
probably getting drunk at
cloning.
It's a dingy little club in the lower section of the wards.
In part because there are lots of biological organisms that we do call life forms that reproduce by cloning. Any kind of single-celled organism typically reproduces by just cell splitting. It's essentially a cloning process. Even more complex organisms, as I understand it, a lot of them that produce asexually do so what amounts to by cloning. So it's not quite that. What I would say, why we categorize viruses as not being alive, not being organisms,
Saren to find and remove a known terrorist threat. Saren
is probably that, at least my thought on the matter, is that the information, that a virus is merely information. Right? It is merely a genomic sequence, if I'm using that term right.
He'd kill 1,000 innocent civilians to end a war without a
so it's just the information. It is they reproduce not by making copies of themselves, but by copying their information onto living cells. So it is call a virus, if you want, something like a genetic meme in the sort of original. He was a monster. In the sort of in the Richard Dawkins sense, the biological sense of a meme. That's more or less what a virus is, right? A virus is mere information that is copied from one genome to another by infection. Right? So,
he likes the violence.
In a case like that, it makes sense not to call it a biological organism because it doesn't copy, it doesn't copy itself. By producing something new, it copies itself onto something else. Who's the Shadow Broker?
About the Shadow Broker.
He's a necessary evil of galactic politics.
Wish I could ask this question with Liara standing next to me, but you can't get her yet.
And the Shadow Broker just happens to be the best player on the field. Always sells to the highest bidder.
In any case,
doesn't get involved in politics.
He also has a gigantic three-sided mouth, but whatever.
It works. He's not a threat to anyone.
Yeah, WizKid, genes and memes are functionally exactly the same. So yeah, something like that, as I understand it. Again, I'm not a biologist. I'm not an evolutionary biologist. I don't know enough about genetics to say any of this with certainty. So if I'm talking out my ass here and I'm obviously incorrect, let me know. And I'd be happy to correct this, to take in better and new information.
Ambassadors, diplomats, inspectors. That's probably why the Shadow Broker.
So speaking of mass-affected viruses, though, I think that the best example of that sort of thing, in a way that I would not quite call something a life form, but you might because of fiddly stuff, and I'll maybe talk about this, would be the Ket in Andromeda. The Ket in Andromeda are basically a virus. They don't reproduce by producing more of themselves. They reproduce by transforming other life forms into themselves, or into...
It's a one-way street.
They transform the other life form's genetics so that it matches the Ket species, or that it adapts to become something like a member of the Ket species, something like that. So that is one of those.
Sooner rather than later.
Maybe an example of that sort of thing. Heck no.
Who cares if we get a seat on the council? What's the big deal?
If the council passes a ruling on an interstellar matter,
so WizKid, as I understand from the ending of Metal Gear Solid 2, memes are to culture as genes are to biology. Yeah, that's where the term comes from. The term. Versions of the term go back way farther than that, back to the ancient Greeks. For the Greek term mimesis means imitation. My recent video on Batman and Superman, from a Platonic perspective, is very heavily centered around mimesis or imitation. So check that out.
The guy joined CSEC
most recent
about
video on
20
my
years
channel
ago.
came out yesterday.
He's
I
been
think.
an embarrassment to our species ever since.
Yeah, that gets carried forward into sort of modern parlance. If you get to René Girard, talks about social imitation.
But I guess enough was enough.
Our human tendency to imitate others in society.
He should have been cut loose a long time ago.
And then Dawkins is primarily before he was, the new atheist guru. He was an evolutionary biologist, most widely known for the selfish meme, selfish gene, where he analogized genes to social contagion type thing, to viruses, or something like that, where memes in terms of genetics get copied and replicated. So unless you would call a meme a life form, and, there's an argument to be made there. It's kind of wacky, but there's an argument to be made. I don't think it's quite a correct argument, but there is an argument. If you wouldn't call a meme a life form, then I don't think you could call a virus a life form. For relevantly similar reasons.
It's not easy preserving peace across an entire galaxy. The Council prefers to use diplomacy and negotiation.
Good night, Lorelei.
More extreme measures are needed.
Lorelia? I'm going to pronounce that wrong forever. I'm sorry. But good night. I will try not to die. Is this legal?
What happens when a Spectre goes rogue? Like
of course
Saren?
It's legal. I will make it legal.
It doesn't happen often. The Council is careful when they select their candidates. But when something does go wrong, there's usually only one solution. Send another Spectre to bring the rogue agent down.
That sounds like foreshadowing.
How do they decide who becomes a Spectre?
You can't just apply to join.
I'm gonna save quite soon. Yes,
the Council's always looking for
probably right after this conversation.
People who can get the job done,
just in case.
like
I'm probably not going to go too much later. It's approaching midnight here, so I'm probably going to go for maybe another half hour or so.
They want you on their side.
So, WizKid, it makes me wonder about primitive pagan societies and ascribing godhood or magical powers to certain people, places, concepts, or objects. Yeah, that is. You would really like René Girard.
Like?
René Girard was a philosopher and theologian and social theorist, early to mid 20th century, mid 20th century mostly.
They act on their own. They tend to operate outside the law,
and talks about this the kinds of imitative structures we see in societies.
Spectres have a lot of power,
and how it forms the basis of pagan religion in particular, and why it will lead to things like sacrifice, especially leads to things like human sacrifice, whether straightforwardly in terms of just directly killing someone, or more indirectly in terms of scapegoating. Girard is fantastic about that kind of analysis. I think you'd really you'd enjoy some of his stuff on the matter. I'm trying to think of what I would recommend of his in particular. The most well-known piece, which I think does, I know it covers this, but I think it might be the best thing to cover this topic, would be his book "I See Satan Fall Like Lightning," or "I Saw Satan Fall Like Lightning."
The one over.
Scriptural reference, but it's about it has primarily to do with this ancient pagan tendency towards mimetic sacrifice.
Yes, is there something you want?
So yeah, check that out. I also will direct you to one of my favorite oddball topics that I also.
Why are you so interested?
I also mentioned, I alluded to briefly in my Superman video, my Batman Superman video yesterday.
I know what I saw.
I had a back and forth with Jonathan Pajot, the symbologist, the icon carver and symbologist, about
we're just talking
about Santa Claus.
Wrong with that?
Both of us think that Santa Claus exists.
I guess
we, of course,
I'm using a small scanner to gather readings on the keepers. So far, I've had
we might disagree on the details a bit, and as to how exactly that works. But we both have, pretty robust theories as to how that works and why that works. But if you are interested, I have a video on the topic as well. When the stream is over, I'll put all this up. Tomorrow at some point, I will put a link to everything that I everything that I mentioned and that I remember that I mentioned up on the Facebook page and probably in the description of the recording of the live stream.
Why were you being so
including that one,
though?
the one about Santa Claus and how Santa Claus exists as a kind of
I don't really think my scanning disturbs them.
archetype,
But the authorities might disagree.
secondary
I'd like to do
substance,
it more openly,
prototype,
but it's not really
exemplar.
I can help you out.
Call it what you want.
I'm not worried about the
Secondary substance is how I would
don't
probably
even
describe
know
it, as
who you are.
broadly speaking, as an Aristotelian.
I'm Commander Shepard with the Alliance military.
Or as a Platonist, I might say as a
I suppose I could use the help.
an instantiation
You
of
need
a
this.
form, as a relationship.
It's a scanning device I developed. Activate it each time you see a keeper. All collected data will automatically upload to my database. I'll even send a few credits your way for each unique scan.
Why?
What are you doing with the data once you've scanned it?
Trying to learn whatever I can about the keepers. We see them working everywhere, yet we know so little about them. I'm a scientist. I want to know what makes them tick.
Yeah, so you mentioned, WizKid, you mentioned rune lore. I know
I should get going then.
almost nothing
Yes,
about traditional
I have much
pagan
work
rune lore.
myself.
I know about
and
runes
good
as
luck with
a
the scanning.
writing system. I know about the sort of Anglo-Saxon runes a bit. The ones Tolkien used. Also, Agam. I studied a bit of Agam when I took a course on Celtic history and the symbology behind it and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, I mostly know of runes as a symbolic writing system more than as a their call it their mythological or symbolic significance. Again, unfortunately, that's beyond my historical knowledge. I do have a background in history, but not that deep of a background in history, or not that broad of. I guess I should say more like not that broad of a background in history. Unfortunately, yeah. Most of my historical studies are focused on the late Roman period, so the sort of late Empire, during and after the Mad Emperors kind of thing, and then the medieval period, medieval Europe. Night, Kylie. Yeah, I'm probably going to continue with Mass Effect next week, actually. I'm going to save, though, because I'm reminded. I'm probably going to continue with Mass Effect next week, unless there's a big demand for another game. If people really want to see other games I'm thinking of, I might, like I said, I might go back to Red Dead. I'm definitely going to go back to Red Dead at some point. If a lot of people want to see that, I might go back to it next week. If a lot of people would want to see Dragon Age Origins, that might be an option. Or like while we're still on a BioWare kick, Dragon Age Origins, or maybe KOTOR 2. I was thinking about KOTOR 2 as well.
Saren's one of their best operatives. It's only natural they take his word over ours.
So, WizKid, I was perusing on 4chan a couple years ago. Apparently, some people were trying to create their own rune with its own properties. I wonder if that would even be possible. I mean, you can take a lot of the symbolism from real ancient runic systems. You can't call it alphabets because they're really not, but ancient runic systems. You can take a lot of the symbology from them and combine them in your own ways and make it sort of work within the symbolic system of runes. In the same way that you can fiddle with any kind of symbolic structure and produce your own symbols. Yeah. You do have to understand the functioning of the system quite well in order to come up with your own thing, though. If you want to think of it by weird analogy, that this is a hell of a stretch, but it might work. Something like, in order to write a good fan fiction, you have to have a really, really good, tight understanding of the actual canon you're writing about.
The Earth Clan.
I mean, it's not quite a good example, but it's decent.
You are the one
it
called
works.
Shepard.
It makes sense.
The tale of
if
how
that
you
makes sense to me.
survived the great tragedy on Akuz is truly remarkable. I am amazed each time I hear it.
Those of you who are familiar, I also I gave the player characters a contact with the Shadow Broker in our tabletop.
You've got me at a disadvantage.
And I based him off of Harry Mayborn from Stargate SG-1. If you've seen that,
My job
I love the
makes it
character.
necessary for me
He's
to
very
keep
spy-like, and he's very annoying, which is
I am
perfect
a
for a contact from the
financial
Shadow
advisor
Broker.
to many important clients here on the Citadel. When someone as important as yourself arrives on the station, I
was always very careful because we play on on stream. We play out over Discord and stuff. I was always very careful to be always eating something while I was playing that character, just as that extra little bit of
I heard you work for the Shadow
dismissiveness and
Broker.
irritation.
Do you have any information about Saren?
You're very blunt, Shepard. But you're right. I
Yeah,
am an agent for the Shadow Broker,
Mrs. McCoy,
and I do know
Ben,
something
your
about
character,
Saren.
got free food every time we met him, so it was also great. Yes, because he was actually quite polite, kind of, albeit relatively dismissive and
I hear your
a
information
dick.
can be expensive.
But he was, he had good manners.
Normally, this information would cost
No,
a
he had good
small
courtesy.
fortune.
That's different from manners.
But these are exceptional
Professional courtesy.
circumstances. So I am going to give it to you for free.
What's the catch?
There is no catch. The Shadow Broker is quite upset with Saren right now. They used to do a lot of business until Saren turned on him.
Saren's turned on a lot of people lately.
I don't know the details, but the Shadow Broker hired a freelancer to deal with it. A Krogan mercenary.
That's not much to go on.
I just told you that the most famous Spectre in the galaxy betrayed the Shadow Broker. Quite a bargain, considering the price. Speak with the Krogan if you want to learn more. I heard he was paying a visit to Citadel security. If you hurry, you might catch him before he leaves the Academy.
I really like the sci-fi concept of an information broker.
However, I doubt the visit was entirely his choice.
The kind of
You'll need to speak with him if you want to know.
if you really like the if you're like me and you like
Broker.
the
Most people think I
if you're a
deal in
free
finance,
marketeer, if you will,
but my
I
real
love the whole
currency is
privatization, essentially,
I
what
trade
amounts to
information,
privatization of
and it has
of
made me very wealthy.
if you want to call it this, if you want to be sassy about it, privatization of the CIA, basically. It's intelligence gathering by a private organization, and it's sold to the highest bidder or to anybody who's interested in it or needs it. That's great. I just love that.
All those
Really.
secrets being passed around seem to even out. Nobody ends up with an advantage in the end.
Any guess what his identity might be?
I don't know. Nobody does. The Shadow
Yeah,
Broker
and that is also a real indication of
have a
how
theory that it's
market
actually an
interactions
entire
work.
group working under
Right?
one
If somebody serves
How else could
on
they
the free
juggle
market,
so
they
many
provide a service
contacts
on the
at
free
the
market,
same
and
time?
provide the service
How else could they
to any
keep all that
comers.
information from
Typically,
getting lost?
unless someone has
got the
a
perfect setup.
real propensity and a real
Every
skill
government is
for
forced to play
making
their
use
game so
of
they don't
information
get
better
behind.
than other people can.
But no matter how long you play,
yeah, it'll even out
no
if
matter
the
how
information
many
is
secrets you
provided
buy,
broadly enough. Then what it is it's just, again, it's a service provided. It's not like it's not like a particular party getting benefited more than others. Whereas, with state actors, you're going to get a particular benefit to a particular group of people, always, necessarily, because that's how it works.
I thought you'd know more about the man you work for.
Obviously, the same goes for weapons dealing and all of these nasty military, like pseudo-military things that we all talk about. In terms of,
the more you know, the more dangerous the game becomes. I don't like danger.
Trading in secrets or trading in weapons or trading in technology, the kind of stuff that we see as kind of dirty and underhanded, that ultimately winds up evening out more or less if it's in sufficiently private hands.
It is a technological marvel, but its true splendor goes much deeper than the hull and engines. From the Presidium to the wards, the entire station is a testament to the success of the Council. All the species of Citadel spaced together in a single strong community.
That's another thing. On that same subject of over-centralization, I love that the Citadel is a Reaper trap. Spoiler, I apologize if that was a spoiler. If you haven't played this game, I'm going to be spoiling things here or there. But out of context, it won't make too much difference. I love that the Citadel is a Reaper trap. A trap to over-centralize, to focus the galaxy's resources and to focus the galaxy's control in one place. And we find out in 3 that damn did it work spectacularly well for the Protheans. The trap caught them so incredibly well. And it's because they were so prone to centralization. They managed their entire empire from the Citadel. In contrast to this cycle, which is wildly decentralized by comparison.
80% of all intelligent species in the known galaxy acknowledge the Council's authority on interstellar matters. But only the most powerful and influential species have embassies here.
80%, so 20% don't. That tells me that Vorcha and...
people like
so
us.
that probably just means Vorcha and Batarians. Meaning what, there are 10 sentient species? Does that math add up? Anybody want to count? So tell me if that math adds up, because if it is that, then cool, then that makes sense, and he could have just said all but 2. That would have sounded more impressive. Either that, or it's implied that there are a lot more sapient species than we know about. Which is cool. I like that, especially in 1.
What are the wards like?
The cultural heart of the galaxy.
If not, then
they
we
pulse
have a
with the
straightforward answer to
lifeblood
it.
of millions of citizens from dozens of different species. You never know what you'll find out in the wards, Commander.
But yeah, I love that the Citadel was this trap. The trap was just,
most of them are
let's just make it really, really easy for them to centralize all of their authority, all of their power, all of their intelligence, all of their coordination in one place. And so that will mean that whatever civilization sort of grows up around the Citadel, uses the Citadel as its seat of government, as its seat of power, as its seat of authority, etc. That means it has a very, very centralized point of failure.
This one is greatly pleased to see you here.
And if you have a centralized point of failure, especially if that is intentionally vulnerable, that is a fantastic trap.
This one's face name is
brilliant.
Though many in this place simply refer to it as Dellen.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
Please take time to examine the fine
8,
goods it has for purchase.
And 10.
All of great worth.
I'm not counting Ralloy, because they were not contacted yet as of ME1. No, it would be 11 at least, because we're missing Drell. Drell's not on the list. So no, not so it's not just that there are 10. It's yeah, WizKid. WizKid says it's like when they take the drill down in Avatar: The Last Airbender by hitting the pressure point. Yeah.
Show me your item.
You would say an organization is
this one is
anti-fragile is the term.
You will not
if it doesn't have a central point of failure. If something has a central point of failure, what that means is I'm going to get rid of all of my crap. I can't sell because I have infinite credits. I'm annoyed by that. Okay, well I'm never buying or selling anything ever again then, I guess. My inventory is too full to buy anything. And it's too I have too much money to sell anything. New Game Plus, guys. Would Drell count? They're basically part of... Yeah, they are part of Hanar civilization, but he did say sentient or sapient species, not civilizations or governments or anything. Because then technically the Volus are a client species of the Turians, so they wouldn't count either in that case. But yeah, so an organization or a structure or something or anything like that is called anti-fragile if it is, well, technically if it is made stronger by being damaged. If damaging it means that it is capable of either bouncing back stronger or that the damage can be integrated into its structural stability. By contrast, an organization is more fragile if it has a central point of failure, if it has one point if you attack it, if you break one thing, the whole thing falls apart. The Death Star. Any of them, including Starkiller Base. Yeah, that is true. The Drell do not have an embassy. Yeah, so So maybe that is why. Maybe there are 10 and 2 of them don't count because they're not on the Citadel anymore. Batarians were until recently, until humans got all uppity. Why did I suddenly go to full screen? What happened to the? Oh, that's why the letterboxing is only during conversations and stuff.
Welcome.
Okay, that's why. Okay, I was confused.
I don't recognize you as one of our
Thought the letterboxing
clients today.
Yeah, Vorcha don't either, and
Would
that's
you like
because
me
they're
to see
cockroaches.
When the consort will be able to meet with you?
Can't I just go in?
I'm afraid not. Yeah, you must understand there are many who seek the consort
Yeah, what
services.
doesn't so Wizkid, what doesn't
But
kill
if
you
you
makes you
wish to
stronger.
leave
One
your
brick
name,
pulled
she'll
down
make
and
every
that
effort
brings
to
down
meet
the
with
whole
you.
building. Yeah, those are the contrast points, right? On the one hand, you have the organization of the system or something that where damaging the thing doesn't actually hurt it in the long run.
And something different for each. Some seek
And
her for
that's the
advice,
case
some
when
for
things are
entertainment,
decentralized.
Others still for
And so,
pleasure.
like the galaxy in
Most of the time,
as depicted
our
in Mass
clients won't
Effect,
realize
this
what they
cycle
were seeking
is
until after
highly
she's provided it
decentralized.
for them.
You make her sound like some kind of oracle.
It's incredibly decentralized because the Citadel Authority is only is basically it's the equivalent of the UN. They have a peacekeeping force, kind of, but it's really just security for the Citadel, which the various races contribute to. By contribute to, I mean they give ships and troops to a Citadel defense fleet. But for the most part, all of the different species have their own militaries, they have their own governments, they have their own laws.
What do you do?
Everything like that. Everything in the member species are their own thing. The counselor is more like a representative than a ruler.
It's our job to ensure that
So-
they leave contented.
What exactly do you attend to?
Well, each acolyte has her unique abilities. Some soothe with song, others with conversation.
This is a really fancy brothel.
As much as possible, we seek to match the needs of our clients to the skills of our acolytes.
But yeah, in any case,
My
it is.
specialty is touch.
Oh, jeez.
My fingertips can find every tension point in your body and relieve it.
I'm here on business.
Can't I just go in?
I'm afraid not. Yeah, you must understand there are many who seek
Anyway,
the consort services. But if you wish to
But
leave
yeah,
your name,
placing a
she'll
central
make
point of
every effort
failure
to meet with you.
Commander Shepard with the Alliance Navy.
and
Excellent. You should hear something
tricking
in
the civilization.
3 or 4 months.
Tricking the
Nobody's
civilization
worked that much
into
of a wait.
adopting that central point of failure
Well,
as
that's not
their
for me to judge.
absolute
I have your
unified
name
point
and you'll be contacted.
their
Is
unified
there
center of
anything
government.
I think I'm done here.
That is a
Well, I
great
hope
way
you'll
of destroying
return
any
in the
given
future.
civilization, especially if you have
always enjoy seeing new
a
clients.
way of taking down that central point of failure
Melina.
quickly and effectively.
Yes, Shaira?
Even if you don't, though,
Send the commander up to
that's
see me. I
exactly
wish
the
to
kind of
speak
thing
with
that you
her.
would want to put in. Think Galen Urso in Rogue One, placing this sort of this structural fault in the Death Star, so it can be discovered and exploited later, and so you can destroy the thing by just poking it, essentially. Okay. Why?
What does she want to see me for?
I don't know. You'll have to ask her yourself. Just head upstairs.
Yes, a WizKid,
She'll
they're
be
not some
waiting for you.
unified utopia. They're strong in their own right, and that lets them better defend against the Reapers. Yeah, absolutely. This cycle has more confirmed Reaper kills, if you're looking at ME3. This cycle has more confirmed Reaper kills than the sum total of every cycle that has ever come before it.
I can't.
Welcome.
Ever.
It's a pleasure to see
That's a hell of an accomplishment. And that's before the Crucible. I'm not even including wiping them all out at once. I'm just talking about the ability to the sheer versatility that gives this cycle the ability to actually not hold our own against the Reapers, obviously, because if you watch the events of Mass Effect 3, yeah, it's bad. Things are going bad. It's not going to go well. It's not going to last. The struggle will end quite soon. But we did relatively quite well compared to previous cycles, compared to the Protheans, who were wiped out in less than 100 years, and where it was a they were essentially completely wiped out. Their entire civilization fell immediately when the Citadel was taken. Because, of course, they were completely centralized around the Citadel.
What exactly do you do?
That depends on your needs. I offer advice to some, comfort to others. I have a certain problem that could use your expertise.
Maybe I can help.
I have a friend, Septimus, a retired Turian general. I won't discuss the details, but he wanted me to be more than I could be. We had a falling out. Now he spends his days in Korra's den, drinking and spreading lies about me. If you would speak to him as a fellow soldier, I believe he will listen to you and let the matter be.
What happened between you?
I respect his privacy too much to go into the details. If he wishes to tell you what happened, that is his prerogative.
What exactly do you want me to tell him?
Appeal to his sense of honor. Remind him of his position as a general. If you can convince him to stop spreading lies about me, I would be very grateful.
That is really one of the things, though.
Now I must ask
one,
you to take your leave. I have many clients waiting to see me.
It's still pretty darn 2008 in that the voice acting tone there totally does not match the body language at all.
I'm a little nervous.
That's a bit absurd. Okay, well, it is very close to midnight, and I don't want to go starting something, heading to an entirely new area of the Citadel just now. So I think I'm going to save here. And I think I'm going to call it a night. So if any of you guys have anything, any last minute things to mention or talk about and continue the conversation we were having, let me know now. If not, I do have the, feel free to continue conversations in the comments in here. The live chat will shut down eventually, but the comments will stay up. So if you want to continue that, feel free to continue that. I'll also stop in here and then, probably by tomorrow at some point. I'll see how things are going and I'll chime in, that kind of thing. Also, feel free to check out the Facebook page. I do have a Facebook page. Yeah, see you tomorrow night. Have a good one. But yeah, if I do have the Facebook page up now, so if you do want to interact over there, I'm happy to carry on absurdly long conversations that are common to Facebook over there. So. I hope everybody had a good time, and I will see everyone. Oh yeah, Friday, true. It's not Thursday, it's Wednesday. Whatever, I can't keep track. It's been 3 hours. So in any case, it's been good. So I will see everybody later. Hopefully I'll see you all next time. I'll play it by ear as to whether I'm going to continue with Mass Effect right where we left off next week, or we might try something else. We'll see. Anyway. Everybody have a great evening. See you later.